allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There you go. Privilege of the floor, but well, why don't we begin? I think everyone here knows Laura Engel, president of Friends. And Laura, why don't you begin, because I know you have something for Nancy from the Friends.
I do. This is a little token for your 3 years of service as a trustee. And we thank you very much for your service. This is from the Friends. And we hope that this will help you remember the Goshen Library as you go into your next adventure.
Great.
And thank you very much. And we have one for Ryan as well. Unfortunately, I know that you provided 3 years sitting here and lots of input and pushing us forward in our next direction.
And I
Thank
wish
you.
nothing but the best for the
Thank
current
you.
board, and very excited for your there you
Yeah.
go. For your
There's Ryan.
your future
Hey,
endeavors
Don.
as well.
Hello.
You missed it. I took both gifts and I run.
Do you want to
Yeah,
continue?
why don't you do Ryan?
Hi Ryan,
Hi,
I'm
how you
Laura
doing?
Engel.
Ryan, very nice to meet you.
I'm president of the Friends, and we wanted to acknowledge your 3 years of service.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
all you've
Thank you,
done
everybody.
for the last 3 years.
Best of luck to everyone.
And to you as well.
Thank you
This
very
will help
much.
you remember the library.
All right, fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the board wanted to also give you something to remember us by, other than a migraine now and then. But you have made a great contribution. You've been a solid working member of the board, and I don't know, you have a family that you're responsible for, you're a professional woman, you have a career, and then you do this, and it's just been great. And you brought a special kind of knowledge, because you're working with the students in the schools, in the Goshen schools, that are the students that we have in our service area and that we try to understand, and you've helped us with that. And I think the new building in part will reflect your interest in children's area and the teen room. So
Great.
thank
Oh,
you
I hope
very
so.
much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. And it's pink. I know you're very secure in your mantle.
I
So
saw the pink car outside.
but you also have made a great contribution.
Thank you very much.
We're going to miss you and your iPad. The laptop, I forgot.
Whenever I had wireless down there.
But you brought, in addition to your humor, you brought a kind of a global view because of your experience as an educational administrator and big picture kind of point of view, and also sensitivity to the voters and to the community and to the, that perspective also was very helpful at times. And so what I would like to see at some point when we have a new library is a plaque, and it's going to say, I think it's February 23rd, we'll have to check that the following people, all 7 people on the board, voted in favor of a new library, and your names will be on that plaque.
Here, here.
So, thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you, everybody. You know, the 3 years of experience, I can tell you, being on a board, I've never been part of something like that, and it was a great experience. Because I know that I'm going to be dealing with plenty more boards. Because my goal in life is to be a superintendent, so there will be plenty of school boards that I'll have to deal with. So, I mean, I see the school boards, and I see it being a part of the board. It was a great experience. So, thank you very much, and thank you for being patient with me and tolerating me for 3 years. So, you know, that's pretty much it. So I know who I am. So, my wife was happy getting rid of me once a month. But no, thank you very much. So.
Oh, by the way, your gifts came from James Murray Florist, and if they're duplicates, you can take them back and exchange them for something that's not a duplicate.
Absolutely not. Thank you.
Okay.
And yeah, and thank you once again. It was a wonderful opportunity. Enjoyed, and I'm very excited for the new library and for all your plans for there. And if I can be of any help as far as being a liaison to the school district, I am still more than
We're gonna be calling you.
happy to do that.
Definitely.
Help get the vote
Looks
out.
like a
That's
young,
right.
fresh,
Yes, it is.
vibrant board, so best of luck, everybody, and we'll
Yes.
let you get back to your work,
Yes,
alright?
and
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Have a good night,
Thank
everybody.
You. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Okay.
Yes. You have another meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you. Thank you
Good
all.
night.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Nice to
Bye.
see you all.
See you.
Good night.
Okay. Does anybody have any changes to the minutes of the April 13th meeting? It's trivial, yes. Second page, new business B. Last sentence, Jim Tarvin volunteered to research and present to the board? Isn't it present, not
Probably,
represent?
yeah, probably present.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's
New
okay.
business
I
B,
shouldn't have brought it
second
up.
page,
No, it's good.
last sentence, Jim Tarvin,
Oh, yes.
underneath, see?
Volunteered to research and present.
Right, you wrote represent.
Oh,
See?
gotcha. Thank you.
Good catch.
Some of those things you can't see.
No,
right,
right,
you
type in the
But just one small thing is, because now we deal with two Megans, so could we just, Megan from Paul Mays and Megan,
So they're both B's too. Brennan and Barone.
Sure.
Megan trustee,
Right.
Megan architect or something.
something.
So I'm like, whoa, she did that already. She's got here. She wasn't even a trustee yet. Wait a minute. I don't know. Something to distinguish the two Megans going forward. Can't say
Anything
Megan B. So
Maybe B1, B2. Does anybody have anything else?
Our Megan, their Megan.
Yeah, right, Megan, that works.
I'll see if I can come up with something.
thank you.
Okay. May I have a motion to accept the minutes for the April 13th meeting as amended? Mary made that motion, seconded by Megan.
Our
Or-
Megan.
Our Megan.
Our Meg-
All in
Megan
favor?
trustee.
Yeah.
Any opposed? No. Okay.
Carol's.
Meg,
Carol has,
do you mind being called Meg? Or is that, no, don't call you that?
No, you can call me Meg, that's fine. So we'll have Meg
So-
and Megan.
It's Megan for the architect and Meg for trustee.
Thank you.
okay.
Sorry to shorten your name.
Oh, that's fine.
All right. Jack?
Oh.
Treasurer's report.
Awesome, thanks Keith. Good evening everyone again.
Good evening, Jack.
We have the report here through April, month 10, 2 months to go. And again, I'll sound like a broken record again, but it is what it is. And it's probably good to be a broken record because that means we're staying on our spending plan, more or less. You can see in April we received our last 10% tax revenue, the $124,776. So now we're fully funded. And you can see the cash on the balance sheet, we're at $418. So I think we're on track to end the year with, say 200 less than that, say 220, 230, more or less what we had planned. For the month, the salary line is staying on track. It's still under budget, but for April it was a little bit over budget, but year to date it's still under. So I'm assuming we're gonna end the year under, but not by as much as we're under right here. So we'll probably be close to being right on target for the end of the year. The books, this week, after I do payroll, I'm gonna do another, I finally finished Baker and Taylor through February, but March and April, there's only been a little bit entered, so I have a lot of Baker and Taylor to catch up on. But again, as we always say, we'll just assume that the books are gonna be, right on budget at the end of the year. At least the subtotal will be right on. Some of the categories, one might be over by a little, one might be under by a little, but the subtotal for total library materials we're probably right on. And, wow, look at utilities. 18,480 compared to 18,333. So really, we're really close in a lot of these budget lines, so, more or less staying where we thought we would be. I think the only monthly bill that we had under budgeted for the last year or so was the telephone bill. Cause every month we're off by like $100 on that. I think we just didn't have enough in there. So I think for next year we addressed that. I believe we added more to it, I'm pretty sure. But, and you see the newsletter, well, that was in March, the last newsletter for the year. I don't see, well, the professional fees are over, but we know for obvious reasons why they're over with the architect. And the grand total so far year to date, total expenses 1,000,000, almost 80,000 compared to budget of 1,136,000. So 56 under, and then when you add in the books that haven't been entered, we're really probably about 40,000 under budget year to date. Mainly because of the retirement and the health insurance and the salary line. Those three together probably add up close to that 40. So more or less we're running where we should be. And you see we have plenty of cash to get us to the end of the year. There's a little bit less than the 139 now in the key, so we'll probably have to do another transfer before the end of the year from the Orange County to the key like we did like a month ago or so. But it's not that urgent. It's probably maybe before the next board meeting or something. We'll have to move some funds. So more or less that's where we're at and staying on track.
Does anyone have any questions for Jack?
On the utilities, you're surprised that it's that high, or?
No, I'm just amazed that they're right on like that.
Right.
That it's within $100. It's
Okay.
just, some of these lines are it's pretty amazing that they're that.
Do you know if the utilities are on par with the last couple of years, or
I think so. I think they've been staying.
not because of the brutal winter?
Yeah, we tried to track the O&R bill, but Matt and I are finding out it's really difficult to try and make sense of their rates and everything. It's really tough to track. But I think we're staying where we had been in past years, because I don't think we added money to that line in the last few years. Maybe we should, I don't think, yeah. So it's probably good that we're even right on if we hadn't added. It's surprising, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Norma just said, that rough winter, that it's amazing that it's not over like that. But maybe we'll have to address that going forward, for next year. Because I know we definitely addressed the telephone and the newsletter, because those we knew we just didn't have enough in there. But utilities, I think we left the same, but I'll have to double check.
Okay. And pardon me for not knowing this, but we run on oil or
Gas.
we're a gas.
Yes,
Okay, so
we get
this is okay.
the
So that's not
NYSEG
bad.
and then the O&R.
Okay.
The NYSEG
That's
is
less than my oil bill.
you have I know, same here, being on the oil bill.
Less than my oil
We're
bill.
probably better
But I
off than we're
still-
not on oil here, right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right, that's for sure.
That's less than my oil. That's a lot.
Yeah, because those two are in the utilities, it's the NYSEG and the O&R,
Okay,
so, but yeah, so
that's
it's
not bad then.
not bad at all, right?
Any other questions? May I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report? Motion made by Norma, seconded by Ellen Mary. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you, Jack.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Right, have a great meeting, thank you.
You too.
Thank you.
Now we have a guest speaker. Rosemary Cooper.
You do, well, I am the director of the Albert Wisner Public Library, for those of you who don't know that, which may be most of you. I am Matt's colleague, and respect him greatly, and I'm very excited to hear about your news. You, of course, are using the architect that our library successfully used in this area, and is now sort of the go-to architect in the area. You've probably heard Washington Mills had a very successful referendum, as well as Highland Mills up on the walk across the Hudson, and he just completed the work at Monroe. So There is lots of good track record in front of you in terms of your architect. I know you're also working, I think, with Alan Berger, Leslie and Alan, and they were the public relations team that we worked with on our plan to move forward. I came tonight because Matt asked me to. I'm not in the habit of barging into library board meetings and pretending I know everything, because I certainly don't. I've experienced a huge measure of success in our library in 2007 to get, an $8.9 million building built and approved by the voters at the time. Was probably a little more daunting than it may even seem now, and when our economy, although it's not improving for those of us on a lower wage scale, it seems to be improving in terms of economic optimism. And that certainly will help fuel, I think, some of the support that that you need. I'm here just I didn't prepare anything informal. I'm just here to answer any questions that you have or may have. Matt, I think, put it in parentheses, to help us stay on track. I think that's okay that I share with that. You have only 8 weeks between now and what is the day of your vote?
We haven't said yet.
December.
Oh, December, so
Yes.
8 months.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay, so you have quite some time. I'm sorry. I thought you're bringing me in 8 weeks. You must be seriously in trouble.
I may have even written that because that's what I feel. So if that's what you got.
Your
that is
opinion
fine.
of us just went up. But yeah. Wow, these people are nuts.
I was gonna say, and you haven't yet shown anybody the picture? Well, let me see, what is this strategy?
That's hilarious.
Well, that's my mistake, I'm sure.
Oh, no, that's great.
And to any event, I'm certainly happy. I know I'm being televised, so I don't want to, present to you anything that's inappropriate. I do want to answer your questions, though. I mean, I certainly have very strongly held opinions about how library boards can and cannot be successful, but they're just opinions. And, every community is its own unique place. It's, even though this is a process that we all go through, it's not really ever the same. I've been on actually 6 different building projects in my library career, and I can tell you out west and in California, and they're all different communities. The steps in the book are the same, but the communities are very different. The keys for me were building support in the community, making sure that every single person who was a leader in our community knew and understood what the library was doing personally from us and the library board and supported it. You can't guarantee that, but you can't go into a campaign just guessing how they feel. They are the leaders. They're the people who make that help the people in your community make decisions, whether to come to the polls, whether to vote yes or no, or whether to stay away from the polls. So, there's two reasons people stay away from the polls, and usually it's really a part of one small reason, which is they don't care, one way or the other. It doesn't matter what happens. That's a negative vote that could become a yes vote, or it's a yes vote that could become a no vote. So they're sort of the neutralized group and they're the group where you pull in your yes votes from the undecided, I guess. But and so I made sure, and our board worked very hard to bring on board the mayor, the superintendent, the business superintendent. These were people who we met with personally, who I knew personally, who answered phone calls from me to talk about it, the chamber representative, that kind of thing. These were meetings that we held just to build support with them. They weren't meetings that we invited the public to. We just built the relationships in terms of building support. The other thing is to identify our support. Who is it that supports the library? Those are the people that need to be focused on. You have an obligation to record and to tell the entire community what's happening, but you do not have an obligation to go to every meeting of every possible group that is possibly not the least bit interested in your library, and you've just given them a wonderful platform to explain to you and everybody else why they're not. You do have an obligation, let me say this clearly to that microphone, you have the obligation to report what it is you're doing, put out the information, but Alan and Leslie can lead you very, very astutely in this. Listen to them. And that may seem counterintuitive at times, what they tell you to do. Do not just, really take a step back and make them realize this is like any other political campaign. Are any of you veterans of politics here besides the library board? Well, my career used to be in political advertising, and we had clients like David Garth. David Garth was the man I worked for. We had clients like Ed Koch and John Hines, and David would sit in his back office, and it was always the same formula. always the same thing, identify your supporters, get them out to the polls, you know, and don't go rustling up the people who, and try to convince that one man who comes into the library every 35 days to tell you why he thinks it's a horrible idea. You know, it's really that simple. However, you know, that takes a lot of work. And we had a very active group of friends, over 50 friends were working for us to get out the vote, and they were just barely successful. I freely admit this, our vote passed only by a couple of hundred votes. We didn't have this landslide like you saw in Washingtonville. Very different community. Washingtonville, if you've been up there recently, know that if that library did not get rebuilt, that town would fall into a hole probably in the next year or two. Not the case in Warwick, all right? It was a very different kind of community. Lower socioeconomics up there, higher ones down here. Goshen, you know, a different community itself. They're not all the same. So it's really a question of knowing it and having respect. Somebody at a library kind of conference to get out the referendum said something I went to one of these meetings many years ago and said, you know, this is not a popularity vote, but I would disagree. It is a popularity vote. People are going to come out and vote because they like it, they trust you, they think you make good decisions, they trust your library director and your staff, and the services that you give here mean something to them. If they don't, they have no interest in it, they're not going to support you. They have no reason to do that. Nobody needs to pay more money for something that they don't really like or use. So it is, even though I probably would get thrown out of every library conference in the world, it is a popularity vote, and I treated it very much like one, and I still do. I still treat my job as that I need to be responsive, and I need to get people to like me. Do they always like me? No, not always, but I have to try because they're the people I'm there to serve, and you need to do the same thing. You need to make sure that they feel good about you and what you're doing, and that you're not hiding anything, and that you're happy to give them whatever information it is that they want, and tell them exactly how much it's going to cost to run this building, and don't say something like, well, we don't really know yet. I mean, most voters will look at you and say, if you don't know yet, well, I'm not going anywhere with you. Because I can tell you, it's easy to figure out, all right? You don't want to hide behind the fact, well, can't really tell what the utilities bill because we never had it. You can really do a lot of number crunching and get those answers to questions. And we did it, and we were right on. I mean, we knew exactly how much it was going to cost us, and we have not been surprised by pretty much anything. A few things, but I don't need to go into those details. So anyway, what do you want to ask me? That's the only reason I came. I don't have a real big speech plan. Anything?
Well, thank you for coming.
One of the things that people sometimes will ask, you know, it's a much bigger building, so does that mean you're going to have a much bigger staff?
Uh-huh.
And I assume, you know, with the sight lines and things being what they are in new buildings, that isn't necessarily a lot bigger staff, but what was the impact on your staff?
You know, that was something we very carefully thought about, right? We were already very much like you, crowded in a small building, okay? We just took our staff and spread it out over the building we were in, and we added 3 part-time clerk positions when we opened, because we were also open more hours. We worked very hard not to jeopardize safety, which means you didn't want a children's room that only had 1 person on staff. But you also didn't need to just you tripled your square footage and making an argument. Most people who are concerned about the vote are gonna think that's what you have to do. And you need to assure them that no, you don't really have to do that. You've got a building that's probably not as big as the one we built. Because if it's for how much, I don't know, should I be asking these questions?
What was your
Our square footage was 4,000 square feet.
Okay, and you
and
went
we went to 20.
20,000.
5 times. By adding 3, so you're going to 20 also?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're
It's about the same.
and we added 3 part-time clerks. And part of the challenge that we had in our particular building was that we had what I call 2 campuses. We ended up by engineering out value engineering out this central staircase because it took up a lot of space and cost a lot of money, and we ended up with the children's floor. Those of you who've been there know, downstairs separated by a staircase and a door to the upstairs. Mm-hmm. And so that creates a little bit of a safety and a staff, a little more pressure on staff. But for the most part, you know, we are operating our building currently on a $1.3 million budget. We actually probably have a smaller budget than you have right now. And I don't need to go into the details of why that is, but I'd be happy to do that with you at another time. But ours is a $1.3 million budget, so you can see why the voters of Warwick, you know, got a pretty good deal. And we're probably, you know, very happy to support us going, because they weren't looking at these huge increases, even though that was the scare, of course, out there. We really did not, you know, jump up like that. So sight lines, Paul can do a lot to help make that possible. Also the level of staff that you hire, it's very rare that most of our libraries, these are all small libraries, 20,000, 25,000, 30,000 square feet. These are small libraries. They're big to us because they feel like it. You don't need, I mean, I personally feel anyway that there's a mixture between the professional and non-professional staff, and you really need to look at how it is, what it is that you need people to do, and you could, you know, perhaps enjoy some savings there. Now, I may be disagreeing completely with what your library director is saying to you, but again, this is just my opinion. This is just my opinion. So that helped us as well. Yeah.
When did you go from the time when your board, your trustees voted to build a new library? Because you had your land donated, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you decided to build a new library on the land that was donated, to when you went to public presentation, and from once you had the architectural drawings concept, how far in advance did you present those drawings to the public and then went to a vote?
Okay. You know, I don't actually have the exact details of
Okay.
the timeline. I began work at the library in 2001. We had an unsuccessful referendum in 1996 for $3.9 million. Okay, it was unsuccessful. I came in 2001, the library board had done nothing, the long hiatus that you've had between your failed referendum and now. And then I came on board with the express job to help them build a new library. We had our referendum in 2007, okay? It took us 2007 to get from 2001, and I'm sure you've had at least as many years to pass between yours as well, to get to the point where we had a drawing, we had an original drawing that was larger, that we put out there, that we got feedback from some of our community leaders and connectors who said, you know, it really is a little bit big, let's cut it back. So we cut it back, and we made it a little bit smaller. It was all part of the campaign, and it really helped the voters build support for us because they knew we were listening to what their concerns were. So the vote was in 2007. We probably did our campaign, Alan could probably tell you better than I do, just 3 to 6 months, not much more before it. You know, there wasn't we didn't have a whole lot of public meetings. We didn't go to every Rotary, every police officer, every 4-H club, or everything like that. We just had a meeting ourselves about it. We had several large meetings at the library where we brought people in and out, but mostly we just published the information. Okay. We put it on the internet, we put it, you know, it was early days for that time, but we still had floor plans. We had Alan's advertising campaign, which was really focused on not so much the building, but on the services that it would provide. We had a few sketchy, you know, renderings of the building, and we had the floor plan, I'm sure very much like you have now. So it wasn't a long period that we were engaging the public in discussion about it between that and going out for the vote. You know, you have a 45-day notice period for any vote, so you know you have that period. So you want to, you know, probably add on a couple months or whatever. Again, I can't emphasize too much, whatever Alan tells you.
So you relied heavily on what he had to say?
Yes, because many a times you have a group of people, and I'm not saying you ever, you know, disagree, but you have a group of people, 7, who can sometimes get sidetracked, and certainly our group, you get nervous, you're all of a sudden like, oh no, maybe that's not going to work, so let's stop and rethink this 100 more times, and so he just kept us focused. There's also this counterintuitive approach to political campaigning for most people, which is your board, like our board, is probably typically not as adversarial as some other boards. People contest to get voted and onto them. Maybe you have a little bit of that here. But we were able to keep ourselves on track and on pace just by working together and understanding that this is what we agreed to do and we need to do A, B, and C. and we cannot get, once one of us would start to flutter over to the side, we would just bring them back in or tell them to go away for a couple of weeks and calm down, but just come back in again here, because, the public does notice this, they do see, and you, of course, I don't mean to be glib about this, because we had a failed campaign also, but you had one that is very instructive to you about what not to do in the future, so I think you can learn a lot from that one, having watched it myself closely. So, and again, each community is very different, but that's the short enough period of time to do due diligence. The longer period of time that you need is to get out your yes vote, and the only way to get out the supportive vote is to actually identify it, and you have to know who they are, and in order to know who they are, there's some work that needs to be done, and that's my suggestion to any group is spend most of your time doing that, and also, of course, making sure the public is informed of what you plan to do. But it wasn't a long period of time.
But at least 2 to 3 months, you said. Two
yeah,
months?
Yeah. And does Alan have a plan for you? Did he do a time frame?
Not yet.
Yeah.
We just signed on.
He'll do that. Okay, you just did. All right, so you'll feel much better when you talk to him. And he'll feel much better that I was here
And
to help encourage you along those lines.
Did you did Alan do the work, or did you have like the Friends group, or
the Friends group got the
community?
vote out. They were the ones who identified the supporters from their lists and kept spreadsheets and made sure that they did mailings and all kinds of things to encourage the vote. And again, like us, a budget vote, we may get 400 or 500 people out to vote. But on a budget like this, where you're going to get 4 or 5 times that many people, so you really just identify the margin of victory. Really, I mean, I don't want to sound like David Garth. He'd be so glad he died last year, but he would be so happy to hear me standing about this, talking about 50 years later. And then you actually get those votes when they come out. So he did help us, and we stayed on that track. But he will remind you that he can't do it. He can't go to the groups. He can't go to the meetings. He can't talk to them. They are depending on you. They want to see your face. They want to hear you be passionate about it. And I think you do a great deal of service to your prospects is if you've got those head people. How are the people in leadership in Goshen feeling about this? Don't bring them along the same way you bring everybody along, because they will bring other people. A word from me, from Michael Newhart and Michael Sweeten of support, and Michael Johnjo, put anybody who was in doubt, and there were many of them, over the other edge. Well, I guess so. That kind of thing, because the leadership influence really made a difference.
Fundraising?
Excuse me?
Fundraising?
Well, that's another piece that we were very lucky with. We had an $8.9 million, I can't even remember, it was that long ago. $8.5, I think it was, $1 million bond referendum. We also had a foundation that we established expressly for the purpose of bringing in alternate revenue streams to the library, not just for the new building, but just general fiduciary responsibility there. And we had a donor who ended up giving us $100,000 as a way to kick off a sort of capital campaign. And that was really very nice. It was great press. We also had the building, which you have as well. The building at the time, we were, it belonged to us, but the school district held the deed to it. And our plan was to sell that building and use the money to pay down the bond and the debt. And in fact, in 2 years, we will be able to do just that. We did sell it, and it's now the Historical Society's A.W. Buckby Center, which is beautiful. If you can manage something like that for here, I would suggest it, because that also puts to rest a lot of what will happen to this lovely building, and it means so much to me, and it's so quaint, and Warwick is so big, and I'm friendly. Those kind of feelings, and that really helped. It helped. Again, know what people are concerned about. Don't discount it. One person's mentioning it, 50 people are feeling it. Appeal to the young parents, how it is going to enhance their experience. Many of your young parents, if they're having story time in here, will probably be very excited to see what you've developed for them in the new building. And ours is, packed, filled children's area all the time. People are clamoring to get into it, and they're enjoying that part of it. So.
Moffett Library received a grant from
Morahan, or not Morahan,
Scoopus.
Yeah.
Did your library receive any?
We did receive a grant. A couple things about these grants, and when I meant to say about the fundraising, $8.5 million, we probably raised about $500,000 in private donations. Okay, not a lot of money, wasn't gonna build the library, right?
Still.
And you're not likely to raise much more, sorry, unless you got some rich person that I don't know about, and that's very likely, but, or it's at least possible. Moffett, like, we got a grant from the
Okay.
state assembly, but now these grants are, you know, these are member item money, and this
Yeah.
is starting to shift a little bit, those waters are shifting. We did get New York State construction grant money, and the way that we worked it was our building process, the first grant we got to do a plan for the building. The second grant we got was to build a sidewalk even before we had a site. Actually, let us build a sidewalk before we had a site. Fortunately, we were successful at the referendum, because otherwise it would have been one of those classic sidewalks to nowhere. We got the state construction money to do that. Scoofus maybe got her $25,000.
Okay.
You know, again, don't, you know, these are things you wanna say, yes, we're getting every single possible money that's out there. New York State construction money is where most of the state funds are coming to you for building, and you'll get money for it. It's just like, as my treasurer likes to say, it's like money on the street. You just have to go and pick it up. It requires a lot of, you know, paperwork, but you still have to go pick it up. And that's, you know, I'm not so sure you're gonna get a member item like
Yeah.
that, but if you talk to him, again, he's somebody you should be, he
Yeah.
should be supporting what you're doing, he should be in your bank, he should be endorsing it, he should be writing a letter to his constituents saying how this is a great thing and we really think it's important, just like your mayor and your town supervisor, whoever you have. But how much money he's gonna be able to grab for you, I don't know. And what kind of impact it makes financially on the project. How much is your referendum for? You don't wanna say that.
8.9.
Oh, same.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah.
that's where I got the 8.9. It was a little more. You got 8.9, I only got 8.5. Same kind of thing. Yeah, you're on the edge, so you just wanna try and get whatever you can from whoever's out there, you know, absolutely. Sorry. And of course, temper everything I say with, like, that's just Rosemary. You know, I was successful in my environment, but that doesn't mean if I were here right now, I would be successful. It really depends on all these factors, and so it's really important. You have a strong library director, you have a strong presence, you really, you know, get out there and follow those simple steps of being effective, getting the word out and building your support. Okay?
You had about 1,600 to 2,000 come out to vote?
We had a little more than 2,000.
Did you?
We had about 2,500, I think. The normal number that comes out for our school budget, so if you look at your school budget vote number, it probably would tell you what you might get on a building. What did you get on your building vote when it was unsuccessful? The $19 million building that you.
That was 2,500.
Yeah, so that's kind of, you know, you have less people than we have 24,000 in our district, but you have the county employees, so Pauline Kehoe used to tell me that made such a difference, so I don't know.
They
maybe
can't
that-
vote, so I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't in a vote, very good, but it
Right.
does push the services a little bit. Yeah, so you wouldn't wanna pay any attention to them, so look and see, if it's 2,500, figure, you can do the math.
They were motivated and angry, so I'm
Yeah.
not sure that's what's gonna come
Yeah,
out this time.
yeah, you definitely want you to be, whatever opportunity you have, you know, you could be in the coffee shop, you could be with your friends at the playground. If you say something negative or about this, you know, you can probably trace some of the biggest failures to that kind of sense of not everybody's behind this. They don't really believe it's a good thing, so we can't, because we can't go to all the meetings, we can't do due diligence and look at all this stuff, we have to believe you are doing that.
How much did you work towards a consistent message? Like, did your board get together and say, here's an FAQ, let's all read the FAQ,
Yes.
let's only say this, let's only...
Well, you know, our public relations person put it together. We read it and said, do we like it? And we said, yeah. We didn't belabor it, you know. We didn't go and say, well, you know, the I needs to be crossed over there, you know, which boards can, again, I'm not being disrespectful, but they can tend to do. So we just said, Alan, this looks good. It answers the questions. What about this? And he said, you don't want to talk about that. That's really not relevant to this. Just go forward. Take it.
Stay on message.
The message. We had a unified message, and it was presented in an organized campaign, a press campaign.
So those meetings with Alan, were they the regular board meetings? The working sessions?
Work sessions. Sometimes he came to the regular board meeting,
Okay.
at large, the work session.
It's all out in the open, those discussions?
Oh, yeah, yes, of course. I mean, and the campaign is out in the open, so it's pretty clear what you're doing. You know, some people might have been concerned because the Friends were building an advocacy campaign, but that's what the Friends always do. And if they wanted to be a part of that, all they had to do is get on the Friends mailing list and they would get stuff. So it wasn't like anybody was denying them. They were just saying, here's what you need to do to get to be involved with what they're doing. And so that wasn't something that we did or paid for or anything like that. But they were very, a large group of people and very active, and really made the difference.
Did you do robocalls and
Yeah.
mailings and that?
I know you do, but let me tell you, the funny thing about robocalls, we did them, we were concerned about them. First of all, you're going to do this in December. You're going to do in December, and it's 2015, so you haven't had the presidential election in November, so people haven't been just completely washed. It's a different time. We usually do it for our annual budget vote, which is in April, so they haven't heard them, and it's a friend of the library who records the message. And by the time they figure out that it isn't even Mary talking on the phone, it's over, I actually got 2 people the first year we did it, and that was about 7 years ago, complaining to me, I don't want to be bothered by these stupid calls, so we just took their number off. But I finally got people telling me they wanted to be on that list, because the robocall is really just the Friends list, and you have to give them your name to get on it. And also they wanted text messages the day of the vote, because now nobody decides what they're going to do. I don't know if you know this or not yet. They don't decide what they're going to do until about 5 minutes before they have to do it. So if you let them know the day before a vote, consider that a lost message, because you're just you have to remind them the day of and drag them there. And then so you have to use all that electronic media. It's really very important, despite your qualms about they are annoying and they annoy me. What they do is remind people that it's something important is going to happen, that they're going to want to be reminded of. Remember, it's a list of people who are supporters who've agreed to be reminded of this. So you're not offending that most by much. Okay.
For your 20,000 square feet, because you said you cut it back a little bit.
Yeah, we had originally 30,000.
Oh, so that's a big
Big
cutback.
chunk.
All right, so then it's an easier question probably, because what's the thing you're most missing, or what are the 1 or 2 things you're most missing?
Well,
Is there anything that you say, oh man, if only there was another 2,000 square feet that I
Yes.
could have had this, or
Yes.
A bigger office?
No. Although when I'm moving the chair so people can sit at my chair, they say, you should have got a bigger office. I know, I don't want a bigger office. I'm the only one who has an office. Everybody else has got sort of public workspaces. So my office, those of you who've seen it know, it's not very large and not a very important thing as far as I'm concerned. I don't think it needs to be big and a place for me to put all my ancestors' photographs. But 2 aspects of that. One is the actual building maintenance component, and then the other is service, public service. So I'll talk about the sexy one first, which is this public service. I would definitely have more private meeting rooms. We got rid of a lot of those. Collection space, folks, as much as you love to romanticize the attachment to the book, it's as there as much as it's ever going to be there. And it is there, but you don't need to build gargantuan shelves and high spaces to be, I don't think, and we didn't. But what we did when we cut down from 30 is we cut off a lot of these little extra meeting room spaces. So now we just have you've been to our library, you've seen our community room, which is, a good size. But then we have a boardroom that's even smaller than this for just board meetings, and there's no other private space. And an incredible amount of use, a need. I have to say, I'm one of these people who's a great supporter of tutors in the library. I'm a great supporter of lawyers in the library, real estate agents in the library, small business people in the library, tutors, babysitters, whoever needs to come to the library and has a use for it. I think we need to find space for and develop programs and policies to accommodate them. The biggest, and in fact what we'll probably be doing in our next campaign to change things around a little bit, is creating more space for people to meet, and in slightly private ways, so that they're not disturbing others or have a sense of privacy. We do have a policy in place now to allow businesses to meet. There's a fee mechanism for that, and people gladly pay the fees. So it's another revenue stream of income, and it's incredibly popular, and that's what I would change. Sexy, service-wise. Building-wise, room for mechanicals. When we cut down from 30 to 20, we put our mechanicals in the upper attic, which you have to crawl over ductwork to change the filters. I know because I've done it several times. ridiculous, okay? So, you know, we just crunched our mechanical systems into the space. It fits, you know, they got it in, but now how do we get around it? And something very important to be able to do. So I've probably made the roof a little something, so I could get to that one duct a little bit easier. And several other situations in the library exist because we really did cut down the space from the original. So it was almost as if, Paul, forgive me for this, but it was almost as if our architect took the plans and just shrunk them. You know, we had still the same mechanical size, so he pushed everything closer. And we do feel some, there's been some adjustment. It's been difficult at times. But other than that, there is a noise factor in our library because we have a lot of open space, and you may in yours also, which I think is beautiful and wonderful and light. But you know, it's hard sometimes when staff are all guffawing. They do have a place, staff does have a place to meet, but you know, when they're working behind the desk, it's just like any other office. You're working, so you can't say, everybody, is it possible to get your work done by talking like that? And sometimes the sound travels unattractively. I also just this year had a traveling exhibit from the Anne Frank Center brought into the library. It's the first traveling exhibit I could have in the library. I've been wanting to do this for many years. That would fit because there's no size, and I really wanted to expand our programs and services that way. And it's a wonderful exhibit. It's been amazingly received, and but it was a little tight getting it in there. So I don't know. So having flexible space, I ended up moving the entire new book collection all over the place, and that was because those shelves were on wheels. You can't do that with high shelves for safety reasons, but you can.
Do you have thermal?
Geothermal, yeah, we do. You're being proposed to have that also?
What do you think?
Oh, I think that's another meeting.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. No, you know, there's a lot of misconception about geothermal out there. Our geothermal system works really, really well. It, however, requires 18 heat pumps because of the way our building was designed when it was crunched down. And those heat pumps, were probably planned in yours as well, those are a lot to maintain. Yeah, they are. 17 in my building. I've got 17. Now yours might be designed differently, and you could put 3 or 4. Yeah, if you call them up tomorrow and say, Rosemary said, just put a couple of heat pumps, bigger ones, then you know they'll probably be.
I think you did say something about fewer
heat pumps. Yeah, so that was a problem for us because that's a lot of mechanical systems to run. It had nothing to do with geothermal. Geothermal is just the way the water comes up through into those systems at a certain temperature that it doesn't need to be raised or lowered when you're heating or cooling it. Our pumps, we had to have 51 wells drilled in our yard because of the way it was, so we were sort of a disaster, you know, case example, but we were prepared for it in terms of our budget, and it really didn't knock us for a loop. No pun intended, geothermal well system. And then we had the 51, and we had a motor that needed a little this or that, but you know, these are complicated mechanical systems. You're right now bemoaning whatever you're bemoaning here. Well, you're going to move to a bigger set of problems, okay? And when you have complicated mechanical systems, you need to have people managing them and maintaining them and helping you with them. But the geothermal, you know, this is in the Northeast. If you were in Arizona or Florida or somewhere where you had a lot of sun all the time, you'd say, wow, that's a no-brainer. In the Northeast, economically, you know, we still have the financial advantage, but it's not as great as it might be in some other parts of the country. And of course, when you don't know what's happening with oil and gas, you know, you're not quite sure. But electricity, you know, how these things run.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you're paying per kilowatt, but we're paying 7.5 cents per kilowatt right now.
Great.
That is good.
It's a great thing, but our annual, we're using over 100,000 kilowatts. Now we're using probably close to 300,000 kilowatts a year.
Did you have to hire, because you went from 4,000 to 20,000 in terms of maintenance, you know, cleaning service or adding?
Yes. We had to hire, we had a cleaning service that came in on weekends for us, and then we had a cleaner that we call, because we're civil service, who was with us 3 days a week at the old building. We now have a cleaner 5 days a week, part-time. He's there from 5 in the morning until 9 in the morning. And then we have a cleaning service on the weekends. So we increased it. Yes, we did. And we also increased the expenses related to carpet cleaning, window cleaning, you know, all that stuff. You have to clean the carpet, you have to clean the windows, so our cleaners don't do that.
And the building maintenance itself, like handyman on staff?
Well, this gentleman will do things for us, he'll come
Okay,
in and
that
help
also.
us, but we don't have too much. I do have a handyman on contract, guy
But
who
not on staff?
No. You know, it's a difficult choice to make again, but staffing someone at that level of work, I've never thought it was an economically advantageous thing to do. Prefer to pay him to do what needs to be done and.
Hopefully things aren't breaking on an everyday basis.
No, you know, we've been in the building 6 years and, you know, we managed to maintain it pretty well. So I think we're doing all right with that.
Welcome.
I'm sorry.
How many people, it's a different subject.
Yes.
But how many people fit in your community room? I'm sorry to say I've never been.
Oh, 100. 100 very tightly, but 100. We had the opening for the Anne Frank exhibit and 190 people came to that. So we had our overflow was in the lobby area outside. And then we did the opening reception upstairs so we could fit more people there. But 100 in our largest community space. And I think that's really enough. I really believe it's probably enough for you too.
That's what we're.
I hate to keep making it seem like I know what's best for you.
In your children's area?
Our children's
You have
area is
two-
4,000 square feet. It's the
you
same
have
size
two,
as our old library.
You
We
have
have
two rooms.
That we have a play area, a storytime area, and an activity room, which is our children's area was really, Paul will say it was designed by him, but it's actually designed by Stacy, our children's librarian. She was the one who came in and told him what she wanted, and he just drew the pictures. So, you know, I made sure all my staff participated in that. Our technical service room was designed really by our clerks who process the books and, you know, that kind of thing. So, all right. So I'm very excited for you.
Thank
you.
you.
I feel like I'm the grandmother here of the Paul Mays libraries, and when every time a new one. Interesting little side story. My brothers live in Gardner, New York. I don't know if you know where that is, but it's just
Yes.
up before
They
New
have a new
Paltz.
one.
They own the Drop Zone, the skydive place there, and have always been generous supporters of the library. Well, Paul Mays designed and developed the library there, which is right behind my dad's house. So
Oh.
and that came in before ours did because it was a smaller project. So
Yeah.
I get to go up and see my dad and see another library there too. So I'm looking forward to yours and wish you the best of luck. Okay.
You have to come visit.
Thank you so much for coming out.
Absolutely. I'll see you in the morning.
Thank you very much.
You're very lucky to have Matt here with you. Don't give him a hard time. Say yes, Matt. Anything you want, Matt. Matt knows best. So
Nice to have seen you again.
Yeah.
She's good.
Has everybody seen the Warwick Library here?
What?
Has everybody seen the Warwick Library?
Yeah,
Amazing, isn't it?
love it. My kids love it too. Why wouldn't they?
With those, that children's spaces.
Yeah.
Ridiculously beautiful.
Should we move on to the committee reports?
Junior friends are coming on that date.
Oh, yeah, with Diana.
Yeah, okay, good, thank you. Yeah, the junior friends are gonna tour the Warwick Library.
Saturday.
Perfect.
We need to wait for Matt for the.
16th.
I think we should go.
Oh, maybe
Physical
maybe she's
resources.
ready.
My daughter's going.
Oh, okay.
To be her to be charity mom. Don't
Well, we could do
forget.
the other ones.
Yeah,
We don't have to go in order.
no, we don't. Let's try to
Human
get through the
resources.
committee reports. We'll wait on the physical resources. I think he has something to include. The community resources, human resources,
No.
human resources.
Did you send me your
I
evaluation for
sent
the?
it to
I
you.
know, you did. I'm just saying, if you haven't sent it to me.
Oh,
that's
oh, you're
something I
speaking
need.
to the others.
In general.
Okay.
I gave you mine.
The new ladies didn't get it because they weren't here earlier. But Matt's evaluation.
Where you got it?
I got them all. That's all I just wanted to,
Okay.
that's all I'm doing.
When is the, I know last year we were talking about there's like something about the raise schedule is on a 3-year schedule.
Yes.
When is that
I
going
have to look actually, cause I can't remember.
Okay.
I think when did we redo that? Was that last year or the year before? It was just last year, so
Okay.
it's so good.
Okay, alright.
We just wanted, we always seem to do this a little too late and end up having to post, like retroactively pay him for a couple of paychecks because we didn't. So I was trying to get ahead of it this time because Nancy and Ryan left and,
Your input was good, yeah.
What's that?
And you needed their input.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I wanted to talk to Carol and I think he's done with school because we
Yeah.
mitigated
Yes,
the
he
raise
did.
last year because we were paying his tuition, so.
Yeah,
That changes things
that
too.
course continues, but yeah, he's taken all the pieces of it already, so.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So, that was all then. So, yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Sunshine Committee?
Well, you might be curious, the gifts that we gave, James Murray has little wooden representations of different buildings in town, and they have the library now, little libraries that they can put on their desk or whatever, so
That's nice.
they remember us that way.
So does the Sunshine Committee need money now?
I think we probably should replenish the fund. I would think $10 each,
$10.
rather than 20.
So do you wanna
We
do
don't
that
seem
for the
to
next
need,
meeting?
yeah,
or-
so maybe next time,
Next
yeah,
meeting we'll all bring
$10 if you can.
I owe money to the, last time you told me $20.
Well, we're reducing it.
We'll
now.
reduce to 10. I'll take it.
A one-day special.
You're,
Yeah.
you're a tough negotiator.
Shall I put that in the minutes that $10 is due at the next meeting?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. What about Friends?
I think I did report last time on the kinds of things that are happening. The big Goshen trivia extravaganza contest, instead of being held in the spring as it has been in the past, this year is going to be in the fall, in September. And it's going to be, and I can never remember the name of the place, at Scotchtown Road.
Villa Valenza.
Villa Valenza, thank you.
Really?
Because we could not find a place, I mean, it's in it's in the Goshen School District, our service area, but we couldn't find a place in town that worked financially for us.
I'm surprised that worked financially.
Yeah, it did actually work. It works for, they really worked with us very, very nicely. To go to the Hall of Fame, just the room itself was $700, and then to bring in wine and liquor and a bartender and food and everything else, it just became very, very expensive. Last year we had to, we had 120 tickets and we sold out, and we ended up turning people away. So we didn't want to go to a room. We tried the Lancey's, they just couldn't do anything like that. The numbers just too big. So we'll see what happens. But it's a great evening. It's a lot of fun. It's a great party. And some of the other things that are happening. I don't think we're going to be holding the Antiques Appraisal this fall. We're going to wait a year on that. We are looking forward in the spring to doing another. It's called Made in Goshen. It's all kinds of things that historically were actually manufactured in Goshen. Furniture that was made in Goshen, glass that was made in Goshen, and so on. A car that was made in Goshen. Right. And,
My coal furnace was made in Goshen.
Jim, did you say next spring?
I think it's in the spring. I should have brought the calendar, the tentative calendar. I actually sent the minutes out to the friends. I emailed it within the last week, and I think Tom Leeks said he was going to put it. He's one of our friends, and he's going to put it in the Indy. So if you get the Indy, you'll see all the different activities that are coming up. But there's a busy group, and it's growing in number. So
When's the first book sale?
I think it's the last Friday in May.
May.
That's
Okay.
the first farmers market too, right?
And I think there might be an earlier one than that.
Is
I'm
there?
not sure.
Memorial Day weekend. The last Friday in May is Memorial Day,
Could be.
the official
Yeah.
Memorial Day
Yeah.
weekend. whatever.
Probably the weekend after that, because Memorial Day is earlier, I
The
think, this year.
Memorial Day is
It's
the 25th this year.
this year.
Yeah. So if it's the last, so it's one of those
So
two
the
weekends.
29th,
Yeah.
that's
It's one
Friday.
it's one of the last two Fridays.
Right.
Either way.
And that's the book fair that's on the lawn here.
That's the one on
Okay.
here. We used to go out to the farmers market. It was just
It's super
a
hassle.
lot of work to
Pitch
get
With all the
and
books.
move
Carry
everything.
books,
Yeah.
bring them back, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And sitting there all day in the heat too is no fun.
Show up early with a hand cart. Move the books. Move the books from the front to the back.
There you go.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Do we
Thank
have
you.
info on the big band, Jim?
Big band is August 8th, rain date August 9th, ice cream social. That's all set.
Nice.
Was it the same band or?
Same, the big band sound, yeah, same day, yeah.
Where are you having it in?
Right out front.
Oh, we're gonna do it up front. Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, we tried to go, find an indoor site, but there aren't any big enough. The school district would not let us go back to the Main Street School because we had people in the halls going down the halls and out by the door, and it was just, we were so over the capacity, it was ridiculous. So I said no.
Okay.
Just
Joanne?
one question before
Yes,
Matt's
sorry.
report is for community resources newsletter.
Newsletter, yeah, I was just talking with Michelle about that today. We haven't set a date yet. I'll have a date, a deadline date put out for the summer newsletter.
Yeah.
Paper newsletter. We also are working
Right,
toward
too,
the right. Yeah, I'll probably we'll settle on a date tomorrow and I'll mail it out. Because I was looking at the last year's just to get an idea, and we had a letter from the trustees, we had my piece, and then the rest was pretty much all summer
Budget.
reading game stuff. But I know when I had some friends things and we'll get on it.
Do you know what the Friends group, what their email database is?
100?
Here's my question. If they start collecting at the front desk upstairs, for our internal or our patron mailing list, because we can't use the RCLS one because
Right.
there was never that checkbox.
I'm sorry.
So
That's news to me.
yeah, that's the way the law is. We'll talk about that later. But so the point is they'll be collecting emails upstairs at the front desk. So
The friends list is a little over 200.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
okay.
That's nice.
I didn't know it was that big.
Yeah.
I knew it was, okay.
And now some of those people are not
Right.
in our district, but they've gone to events and they want to be informed.
Okay.
But the vast majority are in our district.
So potentially that can be a checkbox on anything that we collect also, is you want to be notified of the Friends mailing list, email list also.
Yeah, all of these people have told us that they want to be on the list.
Okay.
By definition, that's what it is.
Okay.
Did you? I'm sorry.
No.
But did you guys discuss under physical resources?
No.
Okay.
No, we
Okay.
skipped
No,
it.
waited for you.
Okay.
But let's get on to it now. So,
You're up.
Well, do you want to? We're going to talk about the interviews with the construction management firms. Did you guys want to do that in this? What do you want?
Kind of had the impression we were gonna roll.
We're gonna
it
just
all
go
into
ahead.
the direct
Okay.
report.
yeah.
You can start off with the direct report.
But is there need to have a physical resources committee report or wait till Matt gets into that area
It
regarding the
overlaps,
fence?
doesn't it?
Well, we'll get Matt's report and then
Okay.
we'll go into the.
There's nothing else outside of what Matt will be.
Right. The fence repair, he'll talk about it. Talk to the fence repair.
I'm wondering about the
Touch on that?
construction management, deciding on Gilbane versus Calgary. So we can talk about that then.
Under new business, we can talk about that.
All right, well, let's see. Good evening, everybody.
Hi.
Night. I bring to you the director's report. But it's been busy as usual. Anyone who's been in here, can attest to that. It's been hot as well because our I just found out today through Danny, one of the compressors down. So the front room has been like 90 degrees. But they're coming. CR Wolf's coming tomorrow to look at it. While back, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but RCLS, without getting into really all the details, the way that the catalog is set up, each library can set local holds only on their certain items. And I voted yes to this, most directors did, to try to open that up for 6 months and see what happens, so that the books will flow more freely between and among libraries. Now still, if you have a patron come in to put a hold on something, they'll get preference over everybody else on the list. But it basically just allows the books to have a little more, allows there to be a little more transaction between the libraries. And they're going to take, RCLS is keeping tabs to see whether this fulfills people's holds faster on the whole. It's just started. There's a lot of people that sort of cried, well, a lot of Chicken Littles that said that, that was the end of, it hasn't,
their fears have not been borne out. You know, you don't detect that much of a difference really on the shelves up there. The fear was that all the books would be out of the library and in other people's hands, and it hasn't really.
So specifically for new books?
This is for anything that we have a small collection that are X books that don't go out except for our patrons, but you can't put holds on them at all. It's like a browsing collection. Those, when people walk in, you'll have a browsing collection of new books. But everything else, not media, but books right now. Then we'll try with media later. It's just been opened up to the other libraries. Every member library had to agree to this, or it wouldn't work. You know, you had so, and they did, and it's a trial, and so for the next 6 months. We'll see, I mean, as I say, RCLS is keeping records to see whether holds are filled faster in this way. I think, I don't have numbers, but I'm fairly sure that most systems do it that way. RCLS is a strange system because you have Rockland County on one end and Sullivan on the other, you know, and the problem is when you have a situation like that, you have very, very wide differential of budgets. So you can have one library that's, you know, operates on $100,000 a year, and then down in Rockland, 7.5 or whatever. Yeah. And the biggest fear is that little libraries may start to rely too much on the big libraries and just say, well, if I don't have to buy it, I won't buy it, and then, you know. So there's lots of arguments, but the point is, a 6-month trial, it seemed like it's always good to try an experiment, see what happens, and see how it works.
And when did it go into effect?
I think it was, Mark, let's see, May 1st, it just started, yeah. I don't know, I'll keep you apprised as to how it goes. For all I know, maybe the chicken littles will be right 3 months in, but we'll see. We'll talk about this a little down the line, but I'll just heads up that I think we need to have more meetings, committee meetings. I mean, as we get closer to the referendum, 6 or 7 regular meetings is just not going to cut it as far as getting stuff done. And these meetings we want to be public meetings. Therefore, we need to make a schedule in advance that we can give to the paper, so that every other Wednesday so that, you know, we've done our
due diligence.
Right, by means law. And I'm just noticing that a lot of things are coming up that don't necessarily need to be brought to the whole board, but that need action, you know, or that need at least to be discussed at some level. And I feel like, you know, if we don't institute that, there's too much to do in too little time. So.
Why don't we decide
Yeah, I think I put it, let's see,
Yeah.
Physical Resources meeting schedule, set up the decision. Come on. Ben Gailey. Ben Gailey is the counsel for the building project. I have here, and poor Keith will have to read it, it's a two-page resolution. Do you remember a while back we discussed about proceeds from the bond paying back some of the expenditures prior to the referendum passing?
Yes.
It's time to do that now. So
that's exciting.
So it is, yeah.
Let's do it.
Getting real.
Read that thing.
It's well, there's some addendum, but the actual resolution I think is 2.
That's under new business.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. New business. We have to wait.
Teasing.
I just want a new building.
But it has to be done. It's legalese. What's that?
It's in legalese.
Yeah.
The library is part of the first part.
Let's see. I sent out, the building committee, physical resources should have received the updated contract. The updated, actually, floor plans with square footage.
Yep.
Yep, okay, good. Just will help in planning going forward.
Are we changing, is anything big changing?
Nothing, no changes. It's just basically we just wanted something so we could compare sort of, I guess, apples to apples, something that gave the square footage of this building versus what's happening down there. So you can actually look at this room and kind of know what this space means in the new building. Right. So you can kind of visualize a little better.
That's actually great.
Okay. It's helpful because otherwise it's kind of a little abstract.
We're gonna have to, we'll send it out to everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's actually really useful. So like you overlay this room.
It's not even overlaid, but basically, well, right. You'll know each space in this place, and and then you can look at the two
in the new meeting room.
Right.
But we're still working with 18,000 square feet.
Same. Nothing's changed. Right.
It's
about
20,000.
I think it says, for example, that the children's area right now is like 750 feet. Is that right? And I think it's in that neighborhood. And the new one is more like 7,000. Right. So it's like 10 times larger.
Yeah.
Let's do this, come on.
You got it there.
How could you not want to do
Let's
this?
just
I,
pass
because I
that
left
on
that
then.
folder on the desk when I walked out the door.
Physical resources
Yeah.
met,
This is the upstairs.
oh, he's got that.
Let me read it later. Program room.
Physical
Program
resources
room.
met with
okay.
Calgi of Westchester and
Gilbane.
Gilbane from Albany, the two construction management firms that, the other two had been winnowed out already. There were 4 on the list to start with.
Right, right.
2 were taken out, knocked out because of the cost and so on.
Okay.
So the building committee, I believe, will proffer their decision on which one to go with out of those 2 later. Alan Berger, I just realized I sent his contract in a few weeks back to Robert Fint, the library's general counsel, and then I sent on Friday a reminder, but he hasn't gotten back to me. I'll have to check with him tomorrow. I don't think that should stop us from hiring if you guys see fit, because he's paid by the hour, the guy. I mean, it's
Right,
not,
so
you
it's
know,
not a contractual
right. I mean, in
obligation
that
if
sense
it
that you're
turns
right.
out,
It's not
yeah.
like a retainer that you pay every.
Right, so we can
It's
opt
just by the
out
hour,
whenever we're
right.
done.
Continuing education. This is very interesting. Megan, Emily, Bernie, and I traveled out to Mid-Hudson Library System headquarters in Poughkeepsie for a Get the Yes vote out.
Nice.
That was, I believe they're ready to have a report or working on something, or at some point we'll. No? Okay. Well, then I'll just go quickly into it.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, what I took away from it was.
What did you all have for lunch?
No, the main things, I mean, I took away, I mean, much of it, Rosemary already mentioned, you know, I think she was in line with what he had to say about, you know, people that you should be getting to and how to get them motivated. He did have an interesting statistic. 37% of voters will vote yes, pretty much, for libraries. 37 are on the fence, and 26 will just say no because they don't believe in taxes. Anyhow, you know,
They're the yeah. So you target the middle people.
you're targeting that 37%, right?
You know, 74% that you're targeting in that way.
Right. You don't want it. The other
They
thing
may
he
not all
brought
come
up-
out to vote, but at least.
Right, but there's no point in talking to the people who already made up their mind, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's hard to resist, of course, when they come to you because you wanna make believers out of people, but you just don't need to waste the time.
But he commented on what Rosemary said too about you know, hitting the leaders, and he had a list of about 7 or 8
Right.
Community leaders. That
He's
you
gonna
need to
send the
target.
slides around. He
I haven't
hasn't
seen.
put it-
Okay, I wanted to
when
ask
one of
that.
us
I haven't
gets
seen
some-
it either. That's why we haven't.
Yeah, we'll share the
Yeah.
slides to everybody, just so
Okay.
you can look through his presentation.
PowerPoint, you mean?
Yeah, yeah. The other thing I thought I took away from it was a good reminder of what you can and can't do with public money. So he had 3 categories basically, and correct me if you guys think that if you took something different away. The library, because we're government, it's government money, it's funded by taxes, obviously. You cannot lobby. You can only inform. But what you can do, which is still useful, is, and we saw a number of examples of this, is you can put out a plan A, this is what happens if it passes. Plan B, this is what you get if it doesn't.
Right.
And that's just
informing.
factual. It just
Yeah.
informs it, look, this is
Right.
what we can do if you can get this.
The
3%.
school district does that.
Right.
What's that?
The school district does
Okay,
that.
so we'll-
They
and
sent
that's-
it out this week.
Yeah.
Second, you can have a friends group like we do, which I was surprised because usually the friends group is talked about as kind of the fundraising arm of the library, which they indeed are. But since they're 501c3s, they are capped by the IRS, by IRS law, and only allowed to expend 20% of their annual operating budget on advocacy.
More voter advocacy.
Right. And so the third option, which I don't know if there's time really to do this, to be honest, after I thought about it, was to put together a PAC basically for the library, a 501c4.
Call it, well,
What would you
there's
call
something
it?
separate. He brought up a 501c4, which is what any or every library is a 501c4, and for a different reason. But he called it a ballot committee.
Yes.
Ballot committee, which is basically something that's specific to New York State. That you assemble people, they take contributions, all of it can go towards.
Right. There's no cap on what they can expend.
And then it dissolves after the vote.
So it's sort of a time-limited thing that you use for a specific tool, basically, to try to get a vote to pass. But
So we're gonna have to do more research on that.
right.
Let's see.
But overall, I thought it was definitely informative. And it sounded to me, I don't know, Bernie or either of you checked into this, that they did, this is part of what this guy does. He doesn't do it, you know, you don't pay him. They basically are
Pro bono. Yeah.
pro bono. I don't know how much they can do, or I didn't get quite, all the details on that, but they will assist you in your endeavors. So we'll have to look into that.
And Mid Hudson themselves has a lot of stuff online too.
Oh, yeah?
So we'll
In that
have to-
tool
Essentially, yeah, that's
Right.
right. Yeah, there's a few,
Was that the flyer that we, it was, I think
.org.
.org slash, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, if you follow it, there's a few dozen things to read. A few dozen pages, PDF versus web
There's a
pages.
lot there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and a lot of it was covered by every library. Yeah, so
Nice.
we'll collect it all and send it out, and
Sure does
particularly.
a really big email.
Yeah, here's some light reading for next weekend.
That's
yeah,
good.
before the next
There'll be a
session.
quiz at the
Yeah.
next one.
And if you didn't think time was flying, 2.5 years have gone by. I did all those classes. I can't believe it.
Wow.
It really feels like 6 months, but
Yeah,
2.5
wow.
years I finished. And I thank you again
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
And lastly, back to the building, we had Danny go over with the catch and fence guys that did the back, that replaced what they basically, I don't know what you call it, refabricated the broken piece of
Right.
railing back here. Those same guys went over and looked at the fence at our Salesian property, which is at some points mangled, busted, not in good
It's
condition.
falling forward now.
Right.
That's really okay.
And they gave me a quote, well, they wanted to replace it with something, you know, kind of that looks like that kind of fence, but they don't use wrought iron anymore. We told them to hold off on doing anything, obviously, because we're not sure what we want, but I called them today just to ask if there was a way that we could just have it supported somehow, because Bernie had been over there and said maybe we can put, I don't forget what you called it, but some kind
Well, I
of.
looked it up too. Just put until construction. I mean, assuming we're going to do construction, why put a fence up?
Yeah,
if
yeah,
it's
Yeah,
damaged?
why
You're
not
gonna-
just tear it down?
Well,
Well, he went to talk.
Yes, well,
I
yeah.
talked to Ted Lewis about that,
Yeah,
and
it's
he's
gotta
like,
stay there.
Why?
So, well,
No,
it's a
because
safety issue because it's on 207. It's on
Yeah.
a state highway, and you really want to. If anything were to happen with the fence with no fence there, you would have no response to liability. So, to the liability of that.
So
So,
if a child
So
ever
if they run out the entry.
right, right, but you're limiting your liability
You
at this
think
point.
there's
So.
logic involved?
So my only thought was to just, given the condition that we'll probably replace it later with a decorative fence, is just to put pound rebar into the ground now to help the fence stand up straight.
Right, just.
I haven't been over there, but when I talked to them today, they didn't think you'd be able to do that. They thought it was beyond that.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it, you know.
It's pretty nice.
It is beyond that.
It is pretty, yeah, but it is
I mean,
pretty bad.
there's
It's gotten worse.
There's
yeah,
a
so.
number of sections, perhaps some can be taken down
Yeah.
and maybe replaced, yes, but it's not the whole length down, which is
Yeah.
quite far, and
Well, and
What
another
if we-
temporary.
They
What if
offered
we
putting in a-
replace it with that orange plastic stuff?
That's what they
Yeah,
offered.
that's
They
what I
said they
was
could put some
thinking
kind of
too.
temporary fence in too if you wanted
Bright
that.
orange.
And then they
you
would
know.
have
That
to
orange
would
plastic
eliminate
mesh.
liability.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
that way.
'cause then you can't say you didn't see the fence.
And then another thing, I guess, I don't know who,
It's some kind of construction.
Yeah.
who mentioned it
It's like a
recently,
web.
but
Yeah,
there's going to be an issue down the road where, because it's a state road, we actually have to work with somebody from the state
I have that
to
right.
change the egress, the main egress that we currently use to get to the park, that, you know, ours that goes back to the park, or if we wanted to even add a construction entrance, which somebody mentioned at one of the meetings we were at. So the construction manager just mentioned actually putting in another construction entrance.
Where?
Well, we can
Yeah.
discuss that later, but
Okay.
if we change anything at all by a foot, you know, a foot or whatever, a few inches, technically we have to get the state involved. So the point is gonna be, we need to come up with a plan for the fence that will accommodate possibly taking parts of the fence down or all the fence down while the construction is going on.
plastic sounds better and better.
Yeah, it does.
And what would you
It's
like
a
done
lot
with the
cheaper
fence?
than-
Why
That
throw money
you
away?
wanna put
What's
that,
it?
save the old fence? Are we still thinking about not the
It's
wrought iron?
garbage.
I
It's
say
just
save
we
it.
talked about
Garbage.
I say
oh,
save
well,
it.
I guess
Do
we'll
you
talk
have
about that
room
at
at
the
your
resources.
house?
You're talking about the
No,
ones
we
that
don't
are-
have to put it at my
You
house,
should
thank
put it out
you.
at junk,
But we
junk
can,
day.
well, I don't think so.
But
Well, the
who-
ones that
who
are all
is it-
wants
is
it?
well, the
We,
ones that are all
we might
bent.
later on.
For what?
There's
It's-
companies that take things like that.
Sure, and they'll pay for the metal, not for the aesthetics of
Well,
this
they might.
old
They-
gnarly
No,
fence.
people do buy
Well, the
buy
ones
these
that are
things.
bent-
Well, but
They
this
do.
fence is
No, you sell it to an antique dealer or someone who sells
Oh,
or that
yeah.
kind of.
somebody find an antique dealer.
So
I
somebody,
mean,
no, but I'm just saying
we
it's some
talked about
salvage
this a
kind
couple of
of
years
like,
ago, and it's still in the gardener's quarters or whatever, the nun's home.
Yeah.
It's still in there, and
I don't
and
know.
it's not going to go anywhere. They're going to tear it down, and they're going to find this old fence sitting in there, and it's like, what are we going to do with this?
Yeah.
It's going to be one more thing we have to deal with, one more cost we have to deal with, or find somebody, a junk dealer, to just cart it away. Unless somebody wants to find an artist or preservationist to take it.
Well, in the interim, I
Buy
think
it,
we
whatever.
should hang on to
Big
it.
orange fence.
But you may be right, at some point we may have to just dispose of it for the value of the metal.
Well,
Well, I'm just thinking,
So-
because if I call them, if I say we would like to go ahead and have it replaced, I'm just wondering where they can put it for us, you know, if they have a place to store it, or if they're probably gonna want it.
How many sections are you talking about?
maybe two.
Okay.
Maybe two. I
Well,
think.
but that's
It's
just,
just right by the entrance
the-
there.
Yeah. I mean, there's one section of
Looks like it got hit by a
spikes.
plow.
Yeah.
Spikes
Well,
jutting out
Yeah,
towards the
it's
road.
it very well could be
It's
that
just-
deer has run into it.
I was just gonna say.
And
do
from
you
the
put that
inside.
stuff on the top of the fence?
Well, that would be
Oh.
awful. Yeah, that'd be the
Oh,
second
that's
worst
quite a
thing that
deer.
would happen. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
it's just-
But yeah, if the
I'm
deer
more
are
worried,
running
actually, children, I don't think
across
they're
the
gonna
lawn
get
and
themselves.
This
into
is
the fence.
this is the entrance.
I know.
There's more chance of somebody walking by
the way it
day
is
or
now.
night.
The way it is now, yeah.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
somebody
you're
could
right.
get
Somebody could get
seriously
hurt.
Those-
So we should spray paint it orange first while we're waiting.
But it's basically just teetering.
I know.
So
I know.
They can just lay if there's just two sections,
I
just lay
think-
them over
Lay 'em
down
over.
the other
Yeah.
men's quarters.
Yeah, just lay them down there.
for
Okay.
now,
We'll figure it
All right.
out.
Will do.
So move them so nobody gets hurt.
because there are
And then put
kids
up
and
the
there are
orange fence.
dogs that are running around in there. I see them.
I understand.
I know.
And-
I feel
Oh,
strongly about it.
no, got that. Pick that up.
Okay.
Excuse me, for the minutes, I didn't catch how that was
I'm gonna catch them about to have that fence moved over to the nuns' quarters for now, and we're gonna have it replaced with some kind of temporary instruction
Bright orange
fence,
plastic
whatever that's called.
thing.
Right. I mean, they had mentioned, but it would probably be expensive chain link fence, but I don't think we need anything that.
No.
No, because whatever we do is temporary until
Right,
we
it's gonna
finish the
be-
building anyway.
All right, and the other thing I wanna mention is I'd like to take off a week, starting June 8th, just June 8th through the 12th. I'll be back for the 15th, back for the meeting, so, okay, just so you know.
Sounds good.
As long as it doesn't affect us, we're,
Well, I'll be reachable.
that's right, you have your cell phone
That's
number.
I rehired TKC. This is the fourth year we had them. I put the bid out to about 7 people. I got 3 back, but one was late. The other one was very high, and it was getting later in the season. Next year, I'm going to put these things out in like December because it's like I can't believe. And Michelle had a program, so I finally said, you know what? Look, we have 2 out of 3 of the things. I have a feeling this is going to be the best bid. It's the best we got in the last couple of years in a row. They're low, you know, and they're good.
What did they
And
do?
they're-
I'm sorry.
The landscape.
Okay.
And they're going. We put I also had put in a more. Well, I had Danny write down what he wanted done, and then I sort of toned that down a bit, so that our.
I remember, especially about the fall leaves.
Yes, yeah. So it's a. We have a little more leeway to get them to actually weed and stuff, because I go out there and they do this brilliant job on the lawn or whatever. But then I'm looking like there's these crabgrass coming up through the. Isn't this kind of no? It's not in the contract. I mean, they didn't say that to me, but that was sort of the sense, you know. It's like,
Sure.
well, all right, well now it is, you know. Now it's so. And they're also going to reseed the spot where the salt has killed some of the.
Yeah, good. On the side there.
Yeah, as you're
Yeah.
coming up, you
Yeah.
see it's kind of pushed back. I mean, that was a separate job. I didn't have it in the contract. That was sort of they're going to do that,
Okay.
and then they're going to take care of the lawn. But it's.
There's some broadleaf weeds out there that are really starting to look awful.
Oh yeah. They haven't done their cleanup yet. All they did was they the day that I signed the contract, they ran over just to do the long ones because I told them we had a program the next day. But they'll come back for their cleanup, and then we'll get the weeds and stuff.
What
taken
is
care
their
of.
name?
TKC.
Thank
Um, unless you have any questions, I think that's about it. Next month we need to decide on the TAN amount.
Okay.
We also need to authorize the lawyers, the banks, and all that stuff. So that's
Newspapers.
right. I don't know if I skipped over anything here. It's kind of flying through here. Yes, I'll get the due date out for the deadline due date. Deadline out for newsletter copy for the summer newsletter tomorrow. I should have that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do we have any unfinished business? No? Then let's move on to new business. Selection of officers, committee assignments. I believe that's you, Jim?
Okay, what happened there is that after talking to a number of people, came up with a slate, but my name's on the slate, so I asked, since it would seem to be inappropriate for me to nominate myself, I asked Keith if he would handle the job of providing us with that slate.
Okay, and I would do so now. Starting at the top. President Helen Mary. I accept, or if you don't want to accept it, yeah. And Vice President Jim Tarvin. I believe Secretary was Norma. And Auditor of the Bills is Bernie. And everybody accepts these positions. Great. And
You have to ask for if there are any other nominations.
I have to ask if there, I'm going to ask if there are any other nominations. No, there are none, so they stand.
So the secretary, then I think you asked if the secretary then will cast one vote for, and that will cause the
current
slate
secretary?
to be adopted.
The current secretary, that would be you.
Really?
Is that
No,
you?
I'm not the secretary.
Ryan's the secretary, uh-oh.
Uh-oh. We shouldn't let him leave.
Oh, is
Well
he the
done.
secretary?
Yeah, that's right.
I thought
In his
we.
absence, I think Norma was,
Norma.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
Norma
okay,
asked-
that works.
in his absence.
would cast one vote.
I'm not sure it cost you,
Got you one vote.
except the slate, as is.
She accepts it. Then, do we have to make a motion or just
No, it's
gavel
done.
it
It's
down?
done.
It's done with
We're
that.
done with it.
Congratulations.
All right.
Congratulations,
There
folks.
you go. Here we
Congratulations,
go
Ellen
again.
Mary.
Here we go again.
A bond reimbursement
that's-
Are we doing
resolution.
committee assignments?
Is it the
at
small
this
committee
point?
assignments?
What's that?
Committee
Skip
assignments.
assignments.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He's just so excited. Oh, good, I don't have to do this.
A prime, A2 is.
Can I just ask, before we do the committee assignments, just, we've always done the physical resources has always been incorporated into the new building. Do we want to keep it that way, or do we want to have a new building committee? Because the physical resources is basically to deal with this
This building.
building. You know, do we want to create a new building committee? Just a question.
That's a good question, I think. And also, all the committees, I assume, are gonna have to be no more than 3 people, right? Because you don't wanna have a quorum.
Quorum.
Okay. But basically, the physical resources committee has been in charge of repairing this building.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And, you know, it's really a whole new task to
Mm.
design it, you know, oversee the new building.
It's that or having work sessions, is it not? To
Yeah,
discuss.
we're gonna ramp up the
This-
meeting schedule.
Yeah.
Are we gonna meet like every other Monday or something? Is that type of schedule?
Yeah, we wanna have
Could
something that's
be.
set, so that we can, so that it's
Or the
in line with-
4th Monday of every
So
month.
this is the second and fourth Monday
the
of
2
each
weeks
month.
following this meeting.
Yeah.
We'll just have like a work session.
Yeah,
By
I
default.
think, to have as many board members there is preferable.
So we're doing that instead of a new building committee, we think?
Yeah, 'cause.
I'm asking if
But
that's
aren't
what
there
you're proposing.
decisions that need to be made, like, for example, the decisions to go with the,
Construction manager.
construction managers,
Yeah.
you know, is there something that a smaller committee needs to deal with?
I
Well,
think
then
there may
you're
be
not
on
required to
occasion,
vote.
but as far as
No, it's
making a
recommendations that you,
Oh.
that is
It's a
made,
recommendation.
not,
Yeah,
we still have to
okay.
vote on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
we're gonna have to work it such that, like the Physical Resource Committee, we have a budget on the line item on the budget here. And basically if pipes need to be repaired, Matt asks for advice and we'll give him advice and he'll go get it repaired. So that's, we're not really making decisions other than what would be made anyway, and they're always within, you know, we're not spending $20,000 on something, you know, so. Likewise with this, I mean, no committee can make serious financial decisions anyway. So yeah, it's best that we actually make any grand decisions at the working sessions like that. And I don't mind not doing new building stuff for the Physical Resources Committee, because aside from the fence that's over there, which has been a standing problem, there's really nothing to do until even after they break ground, the construction manager's going to be doing everything like that anyway. So taking it off the PRC's plate is really not a problem as far as I'm concerned.
So you're for 2 different committees?
Yeah. I don't even know if we need a second committee.
If we're going to be meeting every other,
right, we're going to be meeting 2 weeks after each meeting.
So we don't need a separate new building committee, because there should be at least 4 of us at every working session, in case there's any big decisions to be made.
Now, at a work session, just to clarify, we're not, in a work session, you can't vote, right? You can't make a decision.
No, okay, I was looking at the meeting laws.
As long as we have made the meeting public.
Yes.
Right, and that's why we wanted to make it.
And that's why we're putting out a schedule.
So we then actually would make a motion and adopt it, and people spend money or whatever.
At a work session.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as the public
As long
knows
as we
we're
have a
having
quorum
it.
and that we've notified the public that we're going to meet.
Right, so why don't we set up the, or is that on here already?
It's on, there's an item number for a D is
The meeting schedule?
Yes.
So when you're talking, that's in reference to those
Well,
work
we're not-
sessions every 2 weeks?
We're
after?
changing that to work session.
Okay. Alright. Okay, so let's get back to committee
But
assignments then.
if
Can you read that?
Because that's
How did we get here?
How did we wind up on item 4 with
Are we starting in?
9 and we've all been up since 5.
This month.
That's high.
We starting in May?
Are we starting in May? Yeah.
So the next
Do we
meeting
have
would be.
enough time to make
Wait,
it public if we start in May?
Oh, I just,
2 weeks.
I don't know what.
2
time
weeks, is
things
that
are
enough
coming.
time?
Just from today.
Right, that would,
From
that's,
tomorrow, yeah, I believe we do.
yeah, okay.
Oh.
I believe we do. We have our
You said it
designated newspaper.
Just to
and
get
and
it.
if we put it on the web, I believe that.
We're covered then?
Put it on the web is sufficient?
So you're talking
I
May
think it's only a
25th?
We read
week.
the paper.
Oh,
10
okay.
days.
Right.
Oh, that's
we-
Memorial Day.
That's Memorial Day.
Yeah.
That Monday is Memorial Day.
Perfect.
Oh, shucks.
Okay.
So we can go to June 1st, and then our next meeting is,
The 13th, or the, whatever,
June
15th.
June 8th.
Well, June 1st and then our next.
Well,
our next meeting would be.
what about the
18th,
first
June
Monday of
8th.
each month? You
Uh,
know,
Wait, what am-
Just
Well, we already
before
meet
our
on the
regular-
second
June
Monday.
Our next meeting
but
is
it's
June
like
8th.
3 weeks after, you know what I mean?
Right, but
Yeah.
1 week before, so it's
Right.
like we see each other 2 weeks in a row, and then not for 3 or 4 weeks.
God.
I know, it's
Well,
not
what-
that I don't like you, Keith, but I'm just, you know.
Why don't we schedule a work session for June 1st?
Yes.
And if, as we approach it, you feel there's no need for
Okay.
an extra meeting,
Yeah.
that whatever is, hanging
Okay.
fire can be held till June 8th, then we'll just wait till June 8th. But
Right.
tentatively, June 1st for the work session, and then June 8th for the regular meeting.
Right, and then the 22nd for the next work
And then
session.
2 weeks after that, right,
Right.
22nd.
So our July meeting is what, the 13th? Oh, we don't even have
We
that.
get both at the same time. Oh, we're driving this thing crazy.
27. July 13th and 27th, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
Is
will not, I
July
will not be
13th
here
the
for the
second?
July
Yeah,
13th.
it's the second Monday in
Okay,
July.
so July's 13th
And then 2 weeks after that would be the 27th.
So you'll be here on
and
the
then the
20th.
27th.
Wait, what is July 13th?
That
That's
would
the
be
second
that's the
Monday.
second
That's the
Monday
scheduled-
of
that's the
July.
regular schedule.
That would
our-
be our
a
regular
regular
board
meeting again.
Yeah.
Right. And then the 27th would be a work session. I'm just coming up with
Oh,
some sort
okay.
of a schedule.
Okay.
so
I
that
just
it's
realized something.
public.
I won't be here. I thought it was the
2 weeks.
15th for some reason in my head. I won't be here on the 8th. Now I could maybe change that, or I could. That would be the first meeting I've ever missed since I've done
Okay.
this. So.
We'll figure
Can we
it out.
meet,
We can, I think
Well,
we
let's
can do
reschedule that.
can we meet June 15th?
Let's
June
put it-
15th,
Regular meeting,
the
work
8th is
session,
our, the June 8th is our regular meeting.
but Matt will be
Right.
here.
I know, I'm
So-
just saying, so are you wanna make our regular meeting
What-
on the
so-
15th?
Correct.
Right, so then, so we could do the work session on the 1st and then our regular meeting on the 15th.
Correct.
Well, I've got
Yeah.
a conflict on the
Yeah,
15th.
that would work.
You have a conflict?
Oh,
Oh, for
okay,
heaven's
sorry.
sake, Bernie. So we have a
22nd.
choice, do we wanna hang out with Matt or do we wanna hang out with Bernie? So,
22nd.
the 22nd?
I'm
So-
gonna be out of town.
Oh, for
Okay.
goodness sake.
It's that time of year. It gets
We're always
I
gonna
know, it
have
really is.
somebody.
It's-
July
it's
13th,
just-
I'm not here.
All right, well,
What about,
all right, well,
what
so
about,
we're
what
gonna
about
not
May
have you
18th?
for
What's
It
May
doesn't-
18th?
May 18th is next week.
Oh,
You could go to the Tuesday on
You
Memorial
yeah,
Day.
I was gonna RC as well.
We could just go to the Tuesday.
26th.
You're not available
Memorial
on the
is the
18th.
26th.
That's
But
a
still, the
daytime
8th
thing.
is our board meeting and you can't make it.
Right.
Okay.
And you're
Do
gonna
we,
be
do
gone,
we wanna stick
I'll
to
be gone just that
Mondays?
week.
then you'll be out the whole week.
Yeah.
Well, don't we already have it officially that our meetings are the second Monday of the month at 7:30? So I
But
don't know
the
what
work
we have.
sessions.
Oh, wow.
Oh, the work
The work
yeah, no,
sessions.
I don't care
Do
if
we have to stick to Mondays?
No. We
No.
can do whatever we want. We can do whatever we want.
That's right, we're the board. We can do whatever we want. We just vote and it happens. So, yeah, we don't have to stick to Mondays. So today's the May 11th,
I just can't do Thursdays.
and he can't do Thursdays.
Just throwing it out there.
Not on Fridays, dear
Not
God.
on Fridays.
Not Fridays.
If we jump to item D.
We're all over the place, I'm sorry. But, yeah, we're kind of doing all of them at the same time.
How about Wednesdays? How about the second Wednesday of every month?
2 days after the first meeting?
That
So
way
we would
it's,
have
it's,
our
it's
board
still
meeting
all
and
in
then
our head and it's
No,
so
no,
Yeah,
fresh.
but then that doesn't give us enough time in
There's
between.
action
Oh,
items,
to
things
do.
that might have to be
Right,
done,
so why don't we do
contact
the
people.
fourth Wednesday of each month? Do you wanna do it that way?
Okay.
So the second Monday of each month is our board meeting, the
Right.
fourth Wednesday will be a work session.
BPW.
Oh, for heaven's sake, woman.
Why are we choosing?
We're trying to come up with something other than a Monday, cause we seem to be having so many conflicts with Mondays.
Well, we have the one conflict is not, but
Right,
other than that, and we can change that to June 15th.
right.
We're always gonna have at
other
least
than
somebody
that,
who's
Yeah.
gonna miss a
Is-
meeting. I mean, that's just
Right.
part of the, that's
Right.
why we have.
Is there somebody who would consistently miss that
Right,
day?
right, which
Right,
is why
but that's-
Thursday.
I only
would
have
be anyway.
Thursdays as a
Right, and you have, the fourth Wednesday is your BPW? Right, so we can't do that then.
So we go back to the Monday.
Let's just go back to Mondays and occasionally
Monday.
someone's gonna miss a meeting.
Mondays.
Right,
Let's-
okay,
let's-
so
Yeah, well, the
session
second Monday I will always miss.
And,
What?
I mean,
and
the third
and
Monday I
board
will always
meeting
miss,
June
because
15th,
it's the
is that what I'm
RCLS.
hearing?
So we'll do the
Well, that's the
fourth
third
one
Monday,
second.
third Monday
So-
you
so
would
the-
always miss, so that's a problem.
Yeah, so the fourth Monday is fine except for Memorial
Alright,
Day.
but for June, here's what I suggest we do. We have our work session on June 1st,
Yes.
and then we move our meeting from the 8th to the 15th. So our board
Right.
meeting will be on the 15th for June.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Okay.
just June.
That sound good to everybody?
Same time,
And that's
7:30
just
for
June.
work
Seven-
session?
yeah, right,
Yeah.
isn't that what
Work
we usually
session,
do?
yeah, right.
That's enough time
Yeah,
for everyone to get here from work or
right.
whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so,
And thereafter.
And then
and
should we,
then thereafter,
So
we will do
and
the
fourth.
second Monday will be our board meeting and the fourth will be our
Work session.
work session.
Yes.
Okay,
But-
with the exception
July
of June.
13th?
13th,
but
So
the
the
fourth,
13th and 27th in July.
July 27th.
so July 27th is okay for you, Bernie?
Yeah.
Okay, alright, so July 13th.
August.
So it's just June, we're gonna change it up.
August 10th?
Right.
Work session,
Thank you,
June
by the way.
1. You're welcome.
August
It's
24th.
not the same without you, Matt, that's what it really comes to.
In September, I think we're gonna have to ratchet up even more, cause that's, we're getting close to dates
Sure,
of,
sure. And
community
Will
forum.
that cause issues for school for you? You don't know yet, what do you mean you
for
know?
open house in September, yes, for me, but I
Yeah.
don't have the dates yet, those dates are
Okay.
not set until, the summertime.
Okay, well, I don't
Um,
think we have to do this months in advance, but I think if we have a rough idea of how we're gonna,
Well, if we do from
Well,
now
we can
through
schedule them
August,
now.
now
can just
through
keep that
we
August.
can
schedule.
schedule through the summer, let's
Well,
do
we
it
can
that
even
way.
schedule through December for that. You know, we can just make them, if you give us dates through December on a sheet, and then we can just review
Second
them
and
and
fourth.
change them if we,
It's
if
the
someone of us
second and
knows.
fourth.
Yeah,
It's
just the second and fourth ones, yeah.
The second and fourth Mondays,
We may
And that
have
way- and that
probably
way
a
they can-
number
so
with the,
10 and 24 in August.
Publish on our
Let's give it
website
a
and.
See what
Yeah,
December
right.
second is? 'Cause did we decide on December 2nd?
Right, cause October, it falls on Columbus Day, it's a big deal for you.
well, let's stay with what we have. We have June,
Yeah,
and
We
we
have June
July.
and we have
We're good.
July, so
We're
let's just
good.
leave that be.
Committee
I didn't
assignments.
think so.
Yes, that's
Oh,
important.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, about that. That was part of the whole point.
And we don't have to, we have time for that.
Who's got the list of committees? Or do we
I
need
don't
one?
know.
Let's
They're right
go
on
to
the-
the committee
Business
reports,
committee.
physical.
Yeah.
There you go,
Community.
that'll work. I'll stay on the Human Resources Committee. What else was I on? I don't remember.
So do we say physical, when we say physical resources, we're talking about this building?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
the work sessions is new
It's the
building?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
that's how we're gonna handle it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
I'm sorry, did we appoint?
No, we're discussing that part now. we're just making sure we have a handle on what the actual committees are.
But we do have them listed there.
Right,
Don't
as
we
our
have them all
committee
listed there,
meetings,
so.
Under committee reports, so.
Right, so we'll just
Exactly.
go
Physical
from that.
resources, Bernie, you wanna
Stay on?
continue, do you
Sure.
mind doing that?
Is it used
I'm
for you guys
available
again?
during the day, so I don't mind doing that also.
So physical
If
resources.
it's during the day, I can't do it, but if it's weekend or.
We could also meet later,
No,
I mean, whatever.
Any
you-
night
I will
other than
continue to
Thursday.
be on it.
And
Anybody-
the second and fourth Monday, yeah.
Anyone of the new people have any particular interest? The committees are the physical resources, community resource. We should talk about what these committees
should,
do.
yeah.
That's a
Yes,
good idea.
yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Sorry.
Why don't you say what community resources do, because
Community
Well,
resources is
that's-
responsible for outreach
I do
for
newsletter, I do the
she
newsletter.
does the
the letters to
newsletter.
the
Yeah.
editor sometimes,
I think though, again, with the new building coming up, that's gonna be a big
Mhm.
piece where we need
Right.
to get a lot of information out to the public, so,
sure.
you know, I know we don't wanna have a quorum, but, you know, I've been on it, I think I'm the chairperson at this time, I
Yeah,
don't
I
know,
think you are.
yeah, so, please
But
feel free to
Alan
take
Alan
over.
Berger's gonna give us leads on that.
That's
Yeah.
right,
Yes,
Alan
he's
Berger's
gonna-
gonna
yeah.
provide the
He's gonna
guidance.
But if we have
point
a
us.
working structure already, we can say, oh, we have a you know, if we
Right.
can say to him, this is what our physical resources, this is what our community resources, and then we can tweak
Sure.
it to whatever he needs, you know, so. So human resources, that's what it is, community outreach in terms of
Community
getting
resources.
community
Community
resources to
Human
get the
resources,
word out.
deals with the staffing at the library with
This guy,
evaluating the
yeah.
spelling, decide, what else do we do?
With the
I mean,
personnel.
besides
If there's
personnel
personnel
issues.
procedures,
Yeah,
policies.
right, going over policies with Carol.
Occasionally Carol will catch something that's ambiguous or that's,
Right, and then
so
you have to work it out with
HR
her.
's
It's not, but our biggest thing is the salary scale and evaluating the director. And that always includes the vice president, by the way, human resources.
Okay. Sunshine Committee does like new baby gifts.
Anybody in that category?
Yeah, right, if you know anybody, like, who, in the library having a baby.
Any registrations that we need?
You assign the baby a Dewey Decimal Number.
And we have a policy committee that was developed at the last meeting.
bylaws, yeah.
A bylaws.
It's the
Bylaws committee.
committee,
Yeah,
right.
which we already,
Yeah, we forgot about that already.
yeah, I didn't forget about it, I just haven't,
We just-
haven't scheduled a meeting about it. It's been a busy month,
You've been
yeah.
busy, you've had a lot on your plate, it's funny. Who's in that with
Has
you
anyone
besides you?
volunteered for
Me,
any of these
that's right, I thought it was
positions?
volunteer.
I missed
And
that.
Meg.
Right, so it's me, Meg, and Bernie.
On which
For
bit?
which?
Policy.
Which one did you?
Bylaws.
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 committee.
Which we'll formalize next time.
And
We'll
who's
meet
the
between now
chair?
and then and formalize.
Bernie.
Yeah.
I like to stay on the community resources.
Community resources sounds like my kind of fun.
Yay.
Sounds
It
good.
does.
Get the word out.
Norma, are you gonna remain chair?
I think we need to have a new chair.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding.
Are you nominating?
If you want, no pressure.
Oh, I'm happy to.
Okay.
So that's Norma.
Emily, have you written down as chair and
Perfect.
Norma? Do I have another?
And
Go
Meg.
for it.
Meg.
All right.
That's great.
There you go.
Sounds
That's
nice.
wonderful. So Sunshine Committee is usually just one person, so we
Right.
keep that.
Anybody
job?
wanna,
Anybody want that job?
shine some sunshine?
Be the money man
Be a little shine.
of a woman or for a woman.
Well, I'll stay with that. That's the way you're gonna be.
So that's Jim. And I guess I'll stay on human resources with you. Who else wants to be on?
Ellen
there?
Mary, you gonna stay in?
Human resources, and I'm dragging
Will
Jim
you
in
chair
there.
that, please?
Sure. And I'll drag Jim in there with me. Do you wanna be in on that, Keith? 'Cause you can all be quiet over there.
Sure.
Alright. Keith and Jim. Alright, so,
We're down to physical resources.
which will be Bernie, Jim, and Keith again?
I would like to continue,
Yeah.
Right.
you know,
Right,
if
so
that's
that'll
good.
still be
Just-
Bernie, Jim,
yeah.
and Keith again.
weekend or enter.
Bernie,
You
Are
guys
you
seem to be
chair on
doing
that?
okay with that, right?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Sure.
Bernie,
Let's
what
move
happened to
along.
your voice?
What time is
Yeah,
it?
right.
It's 10 after
Yeah,
9.
really.
Didn't even see my list.
At least
looks
it's
to
not
me like
football
we have a
season,
nice
right? You're not
mixture.
missing your games.
Can't see with the stars.
What?
Yeah.
Can't see with the stars. finale.
And I just wanted to say on bylaws, I'd like to be a part of that one
Yes, absolutely.
myself,
Yes.
Okay, so you're on bylaws with us?
please.
Oh, sure.
And
Yeah, that's kind of
mostly on
important, actually.
human resources if it has to do with staffing.
Right, so,
Yeah, you and Matt will be involved in
yeah, that's
the
kind
bylaws
of,
committee.
yeah, no, actually, board members stuff.
And we don't change, we just suggest changes if any are needed.
There you go.
Okay.
So we kind of,
So we're done with,
what are we doing?
we're done with committee assignments. The bond reimbursement resolution action
Yes.
Drink some water.
item.
You sure you don't wanna do the local history first?
So we did the physical
haven't seen
resources
that.
meeting
That's easy.
schedule, right?
What are we doing?
Oh.
What are we
That's-
learning?
I look forward to
We
it.
discussed the Salesian defense repair.
Yes, that's done, right.
Stuff like
But is
that.
it done?
We
Oh,
did, yeah,
fence?
because we decided already then.
You can
He's
have
gonna
it
double
take
back
down.
with
Yeah, he's gonna
I'll
take
have
it
them
down,
store it
put it in
there.
the store, and we'll
Get
put
to
a
it.
big ugly orange plastic fence up, it'll be great.
Good.
Was that gonna be cheaper, or did they give pricing on that? Or
I didn't get that yet, I'll you know, I just talked to them today.
It's just the two sections that are damaged we're
Yeah, I
talking
think
about.
Okay.
Yeah.
And make sure they understand, cause you
Okay.
might
Yeah.
show up in
Yeah,
a
right.
18 section of the lawn.
Yeah, right.
Section. Okay, I just wanted, okay, so bond reimbursement resolution, this is, before we go on, they have to fill in a couple blanks here, I got most of them, I got what I could get, but, they need a number, and this number
My apologies.
can change.
Allergy alarm.
But it's the number you assume the bond is gonna be right now, and this number can be changed by resolution as you go forward, but I just
Okay.
wanna take
Okay.
the number that you guys are agreeing it's,
8.9.
what's that?
8.9, not 18, 8.9.
Okay. And I think that's it. Needed charter date, it needed, it's 366 Main Street, 8.9. There's a page here, certification form. I don't believe this has to be done tonight. It needs to be signed by the secretary. It asks for the corporate seal, and I believe we have one. I haven't seen it. I've heard about it. So this will have to be done on a different day.
I
I've
get
never
to
used-
sign that?
What's that?
I get to sign that?
Yes. Well, that's secretary.
Well,
So if we default, then you and your husband will.
I'll sell the historic fence and finance it.
That's right, that's gotta be worth point something. So that fencing.
8.9 mil. So it's basically a resolution of intent to use bond proceeds to reimburse current costs. So he's gonna read all this, but basically that's in a nutshell what you're authorizing.
Can I start here?
Yeah. Sorry.
Whereas, the Board of Trustees of the Goshen Public Library, Orange County, New York, a body corporate formed under the education law of the State of New York by absolute charter granted on October 13th, 1989, by the Board of Regents of the University of the State of New York as the School District Public Library of the Goshen Central School District, the Public Library and the School District anticipates an issuance by the school district of its general obligation bonds on behalf of the public library or application to the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York, a public benefit corporation of the State of New York, the authority, for financial assistance through the issuance of revenue bonds of the authority, the bonds, to finance the cost of construction of a new library building to be located at 366 Main Street in the village of Goshen, New York, to serve as a public library facility, including original equipment, machinery, apparatus, appurtenances, site work, and incidental improvements, and expenses in connection therewith, as more fully described in Exhibit A attached hereto, and hereby made a part hereof at a maximum estimated cost of $8.9 million, or as shall be hereafter determined by future resolutions in the aggregate, the project, and whereas the public library, in accordance with the requirements of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQR, with respect to the project, expects to complete a seeker review determining whether the project will have a significant adverse effect on the environment, in which seeker review will constitute a portion of certain preliminary expenses to be incurred in connection with the project, semicolon, and whereas the public library expects to incur certain other preliminary expenses in connection with the project prior to the issuance of such bonds, and whereas a proposition relating to the project is expected to be provided to the voters of the school district in December 2015, and whereas the public library now wishes to state its official intent to participate in the issuance of such bonds upon determination of the scope of the project and its status under seeker, now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Goshen Public Library, Orange County, New York, the Board, as follows. Section 1. The Board hereby determines the intention of the Public Library to participate in the issuance of the bonds by the school district or the authority in a maximum amount not to exceed $8.9 million, or as shall hereafter be determined by future resolutions of the Board to finance the cost of the project, and states its intention to proceed in connection therewith. There's a period. Section 2. The Public Library hereby declares its official intent to reimburse its eligible expenditures heretofore or hereafter made with other monies of the Public Library relating to the project, with a portion of the proceeds of the bonds, which bonds, if issued by the authority, are reasonably expected to be issued upon adoption of and pursuant to specific legislative authorization as provided in Title IV of Article 8 of the Public Authorities Law of the State of New York, by amendment of Chapter 672 of the Laws of 1993, and if issued by the school district, are reasonably expected to be issued after compliance with the requirements of the applicable provisions of the education law and the local finance law. The public library hereby declares that the project is for educational and library purposes. Section 3. A copy of this resolution, together with the attachments thereto, shall be placed on file in the office of the Secretary, where the same shall be available for public inspection during regular business hours. Section 4. This resolution shall take effect immediately. The foregoing resolution was duly put to a vote on roll call, which resulted as follows. And this is where we go around the table.
Vote, right.
And that's where we're talking roll call, or what is proper?
You can do all in favor as long as every every name is registered there.
Yeah.
I have a question. In the very
Do you
beginning,
want to fill this out, or do I fill this out?
I'll fill it out with you guys.
We just put the names.
but I have a question. In the very beginning, where it makes the first reference to, does it say Goshen Public Library? in
Yes,
very
the
beginning?
first time and then the library thereafter.
All right, so I think it should be
Full name.
corrected to say Goshen Public
Oh, I
Library.
didn't even catch that. And
And
historical
Historical
society.
Society.
And it's one more spot down further,
Okay.
about
Yeah.
halfway down.
Yeah, so
There's
just
another
add
reference
in
to it.
Historical
Put a carrot.
Society and then.
So it's okay to write on this.
Sure. And initial it, I guess. Want me to do it?
Yeah,
Okay.
with
But-
out my glasses on.
Well, if the official one's gonna be the one signed by the secretary,
Mm-hmm.
So we just.
then, what we might do is do our voting, but you could have, who sent this to us?
Mr. Gailey.
Alright, he could
I'll have him send another,
He
right.
could just email you
Okay.
with that slight change.
Yep.
And then you could fill in the names of the people that voted, because you're gonna have to come back when he finds the seal.
The great
It could be
seal.
a while.
You got 2 weeks.
It's in the
but June
Historical
1st, that's
Society
it.
room.
Yeah. So you bring it, where's the second time it's, I don't see it.
It shouldn't be a second time.
But you said there was a second
There was a
one,
second
right?
time, or just said
Should
Goshen
only
Public
be one.
Library. It's further, it's like halfway through.
I thought it just said library. But
Yeah,
Yeah, I
because
think
it further
further
refers
through
to it
it's-
as
it's
public
referred to as-
library.
Yeah, no, it's one more.
I think as long as it's in there.
Or
it
trustees of
was-
the Goshen
Okay,
Public
so there are
Library,
two-
that's
Okay,
it.
okay.
Oh,
two
yeah.
places.
I'm gonna put it on here so that you can see it.
Because we were
And then-
originally chartered
Also,
as a.
have we,
There's only two of them in the state, I understand. Two
did we, I
libraries
know
that
there
are
was,
also historical
Oh,
societies.
okay, so
So we're
it's
one of those-
officially part
the
of our
two, so we don't
titles.
wanna lose that.
Mhm.
I know
And
there was
also-
discussion about the date of the vote for the referendum. I know there
Right.
were,
It
discussion.
said December in there, didn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did we decide on a date
No.
here now?
Not that I've heard.
I have been over to the Board of Elections
Okay,
and spoke with the representatives over there, and December 2nd vote is available, and they felt it was a good time for us to go ahead.
That's a Wednesday.
Just- Well, Thanksgiving is like the
This
week or so
is the week before,
and then there was it was
which
too
is
close
which is
to-
generally what happens when we do at Easter time, you know, just right
Right.
after the holiday. Like that, it's a good time for us to get our newspaper out, you know, during the Thanksgiving time. People sit around the table and talk about what is happening within the town itself.
I just think the only concern was that we need to do a presentation somewhere within a week prior
Yes.
to that, and that's what.
Could be up to 10 days
do,
before
and do we
that, or it
really,
could be.
you know, given what
Mhm.
we learned from Rosemary, do we wanna keep it to just the week before? And not have,
What's
I
it,
don't
see
know.
what
You can't
Alan
do it
says
the-
on that.
Yeah,
The
Um,
week
get ahead of
before
ourselves, I think.
Thanksgiving, because that's the Wednesday evening.
well, if we have to put a date in there, we have to,
A date of what?
December 2.
December 2 for the vote.
December 2nd.
but for the public presentations,
Oh,
would that have any effect on, no?
no, it's not,
Okay.
that's not presented.
But I think, did you make a point about
Yeah.
families are going crazy right
Yeah,
around holidays?
that full week beforehand, people
Yeah.
are,
Their minds are
yeah,
elsewhere.
they can't come to
So,
something
so
that
if we,
week.
if we have the public meeting,
Beginning of November,
Middle of November.
I was gonna say,
Mm-hmm.
let's see,
After
I don't
Halloween.
know, what is the Monday
Before
before
Halloween.
Thanksgiving? We wanna go,
What is
A
the
week
date,
before
Jim
that.
Senator?
we wanna go in the week prior, sometime in the week prior. We wanna avoid that whole Thanksgiving week,
Mhm.
so that we're.
So it's
Right.
November, the 26th is that
Yeah.
Thanksgiving? Yeah, the 26th is Thanksgiving.
So around the,
So
The
the
23rd
16th.
is the Monday before.
Right, so we wanna be-
So we
of
wanna do the
Thanksgiving, and
we
it's
wanna,
also the
we wanna
Monday
be the week
before.
prior to that week that has the 23rd in it.
So
Or a
the,
public meeting or
the
something.
week of the
But-
16th?
what if people are traveling for Thanksgiving? I mean, I don't wanna, I don't wanna.
No, the week before that.
Not the week of Thanksgiving.
No, I know, so the week, you're saying the week of the 16th?
16th or
Yes.
20th, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, that's the week before Thanksgiving.
yeah, that's.
Yeah.
If
Right.
people are traveling for that week before Thanksgiving,
They wouldn't.
They
wouldn't.
No, they wouldn't.
well,
They can't.
well, we can say whatever we want. However, I don't ever wanna be accused of, oh, you guys slid this in when people were traveling and the holidays and all. I'm just
But this
putting
is
it
a
out
week-
there. I'm
That's a full
putting
week
it out there,
before
something
that.
for us
It's a
to
full
think
week-
about.
Right, but it's a
Something
full week
to think
before
about.
Thanksgiving, and I don't think
Too
that's
late.
gonna be,
Is that too soon before the election though?
no, we want it
I
close to the
spoke with
election.
the people at the Board of Elections,
Mm-hmm.
and during that time, they have a big push on people signing up for to be registered voters. And so they were happy with the December 2nd piece and not comfortable with anything earlier because it takes them time to get their registrars, you know, all up to snuff, and they kind of figured that December 2 would be a good date that they felt comfortable to be able to give me a decent list.
Is that what's holding this up now, the December 2nd vote date? Is that
No.
why?
No, we don't have, we just
No,
said
what
this
we're
No,
doing
December.
is-
we have to do a roll call.
Right.
Yea or nay?
No,
There's
Right?
one
But
more.
this conversation
edit I wanted
started
to do.
because
That's separate.
Norma was referring to, there's a reference to December in
December,
there.
yeah,
Okay.
And I think that
That's
is
staying.
legitimate.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
There's
So-
Okay.
one more question or edit would be, it mentions the office of the secretary in
Okay.
there. And you can ask the lawyer if he wants to edit that to say office of the director, cause you don't have an office here.
Sure.
The office,
It's
the
a
Office
role,
is a,
that'd
is
have
a
to be a
role, it's
building,
not a
yeah,
building,
yeah,
it's
like
not
an
a physical.
officer.
You
I
know,
think it has
office of the president
Right.
doesn't mean the Oval Office.
Right.
I mean, it's just, you know.
It's,
I think they just meant a representative of the board
Right, right.
in the secretary capacity.
Right.
I believe that's what I read.
What's that?
Well, it says it'll be kept on display or on hand or something like that at the office of the secretary. So if that's acceptable wording for what we're gonna do, then that's fine. If he wants to change it to office of the director.
okay.
I mean, it's probably what he used for
It's
Washington
cute,
Bill.
yeah,
That's
it's
word
a
for
word.
word.
Yes,
Language.
exactly.
You
So,
just pulled out one name, shoved in our name.
okay.
So we're just gonna go around the table, and this is a vote on this that I just read.
Okay.
And I will put down Y or N. Is that sufficient, or do I have to put yay or nay?
I think why
Yeah,
or
why
ends
or
are
ends.
checked in.
Ella Mary O'Brien.
Yeah.
Yay. Jim
Yay.
Tarvin. Yay. I heard. Megan Borden.
Yes. Yay.
Yay. Norma Nunes Langos.
Yes.
Yes. Bernie Maroney.
Yes.
Yes. Emily Collado.
Yes.
Yes. Keith Roddy.
It's
Yes.
unanimous.
Okay.
We owe $8.9 million.
Yeah, the rest is for me to take care of.
Okay, and then you get this
Right.
notarized or something.
And the seal.
Well, the seal.
The great seal of the
Okay,
Goshen
great.
Public Library.
Local history learning policy adoption.
Yes, I'll just speak quickly. The Friends, the Historical Society, for the historical, let's see, the Friends that are historically minded that meet, that are part of our Friends of the smaller subsection, got wind that we have things lent out around, and we've had for years. They were been lent out before I even was here in this office, which is typical of an institution. We share our things. But I went through our policy handbook and couldn't find a loan agreement. I'll double check it. If there is one, this is going to supplant it. But I couldn't find one. I couldn't find one going through any policy relating to how we loan things and how we get them back. There's 3 or 4. I couldn't find anything on loaning historical items, materials.
Well, I thought we did years ago, though.
We might have. I looked through it. Did you double check? Either way, if there is, this is going to supplant it because
Okay.
I got this from Michelle Figliomini, whose father put this place together, basically, the Historical
Right.
Society. So I know that this is up to date and covers all the bases. And all I ask is, I mean, you can read it if you'd like. It's fairly standard. It just basically explains how things should be treated, that they're on loan, that they're not for keep, that we have the right to ask for them back. It's pretty standard stuff. You take down the lender's name, their address, etc. I mean, you're welcome to look at it, but I don't think you need to. You can trust me that this basically covers the bases. It comes from the Historical Society.
Does it make reference to us doing an annual inventory?
Let's see, photographs maybe use.
Because I think she had mentioned that at one of the meetings that I think she said that we should go out once a year and just see if that thing that we loaned is there.
Is there?
Or hasn't
Yeah,
been
that's a good idea.
put behind the barn or, in
Right,
somebody's
right, right.
basement
This
or
is all
whatever.
ringing a bell.
Because I know when
Like,
we
one of the
start,
things
when I
that's been loaned
started,
was a bell, by the way.
when I started, we had a gentleman who
Insurance and
bequeathed a whole
Collection.
Yeah,
collection, and we loaned it to
the Historical Society?
the
or-
Trotter,
The
the
Trotter.
Oh,
museum.
yes,
Trotter
the track.
Museum,
That's
that's
right.
right.
So, and
That's
that was a very, I think we gave like a 5-year,
Well,
because we were
right.
thinking in 5 years we would
Right.
go into a new
That
building.
must
We
be why
have-
I'm that must
Wow,
be what
yeah.
I'm remembering.
That was when Frank
Because we
was on
came
the
up
board
with
and-
like rules about that at the time.
We have a form that we
Yeah.
use that
Yeah,
when
that
we,
must be what I
that's
was
probably what
thinking
you're
of.
thinking about. It's
Yeah.
what's it called? A
Agreement?
deed of gift.
Yeah.
Deed of gift form that we use but I couldn't find a policy.
Okay.
So
Huh.
it was, I
So
guess
now
probably
we have one.
Michelle had said you guys should have a policy, so
Right.
she forwarded me their policy. Now, I don't see anywhere in here about going around and at any time during the loan period, the library may inspect the physical condition
Right.
of the material at the display location of the borrower, is as close as I have here.
Mm.
So I think that covers, it doesn't say it's gonna be at a particular date, but that we have the right to go in and take a look at what they're,
Right.
Right.
so.
It'd be a good thing to make sure it doesn't.
Yeah, right. It's our stop.
Go to
We gotta make
Sotheby's.
sure. That's right.
You're right, well, that's.
Right. We don't want to go and wander.
I think what ends up happening occasionally, I don't know, sometimes, is that people just forget.
Yeah.
People
Yeah, if it's
come
on
through these
loan
roll
long
right
enough,
and it's,
right,
where did
they
this
don't
picture come
know.
from? Let's,
It should
Right.
always have
So-
property of somewhere.
Somewhere on there.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
I didn't even know we had a bell until this
Well,
discussion came up.
apparently we lent it out to somebody.
Or that monument of ours is on
The rooster?
that we're getting back. No, the rooster I found.
Yeah.
The rooster I recovered.
Where's
No,
rooster?
the mini sink monument that's sitting over.
Right.
That's going to be.
Yeah.
I'm recalling that because
Right.
it's sitting on the
Right.
porch. So in the next, I don't know where we're going
Oh.
to put it, but we're just. It's kind of in a weird place over there now
Yeah.
because they've got fences
Wha-
and
the
caution tape.
courthouse?
Mm-hmm. it's a big stone in a case, but it's
Yeah.
not. I don't know. It just seems like it's something that's been floating around since the
Goes up in the
courthouse.
county building, right?
County building.
So we should do an audit of what's out there.
Yes, we
Right.
have. I have.
And so, because when we have space, we might want to
Well,
have our
that-
own.
Well, I have a number
display.
of letters I'm writing prior to meeting with the Friends, when is it, the 19th, 18th? I want to get the letters out. They basically just remind people that the library owns these and they may be recalled at some time in the near future, depending on how things. So that's basically what we're trying to do, is just, alert them that these are library items
Better
that
be
we
able
might.
to put your hands on it.
Right,
It's
yeah.
worth,
So I guess the job here now is just to
make a motion.
To make a motion to accept this as
presented.
Okay, so that's for you to.
But I don't have to present it.
No.
No,
we're
just
good
trust
with
it.
that.
Okay.
May I have a motion to accept the local history loaning policy?
Yes.
Motion made by Ellen Mary. Jim Tarvin seconded. All in favor? I know you did.
Aye.
Any opposed? No.
No, okay.
Good.
Is
Joint rec?
we're going? Yeah.
Yeah, we-
That's
okay.
the only thing we didn't do yet.
I spoke with Joint Rec. They did us a great service of taking down some trees of ours. We talked to, they were on the way on the edge of the, well, she said they were small trees or giant bushes, I don't know, but they were dying.
Yeah.
So they asked if and I talked to the building committee and we thought it was nice of them to actually offer. They could have said, you guys have dying stuff over here, you might wanna take it down. But they did they're wondering, I talked to Trish Sherlock, if they can expand their soccer field slightly into the oval of our. It's not near the road. It's up. I don't know the lay of the land that well, but they need to use somewhere. They would like to put a goal post there, and of course they knew we would be concerned about insurance, but they would cover us. We would be covered under the joint rec or the town, the village, etc. And we will see that additionally insured policy. And I said I thought it would be a great idea since the land's just sitting there and the kids need the space, but I have to bring this to the trustees first to have them and decide. And I thought as long as you guys understood that we would be insured under our policy, under their policy, that it was.
And where is this exactly? At the back end?
At the back end of, I believe.
it's-
You know,
So-
you know
I
better
do.
than I do. Okay.
If you made the right to go to the school,
Uh-huh.
the field right there, that's the back end where they have the net for
Okay.
soccer, and it's movable. It's not
That was my
permanent.
next question, is that
Right.
permanent fixture?
No.
And it's
saw
just
it
for this
actually,
soccer
it's
season?
already there.
Is it going to interfere when we're in construction?
That's what I wanted to know.
No,
It's soccer season
No, it's
ends
not.
when?
It
sort of
should
on the
not. It's
far
on the
end.
field. It's on the
Yeah.
field where,
And it
we're
does-
not
Is it where the
doing
tent goes? No.
No.
No, that's even
Yeah,
further
no.
down.
Okay.
And I'm sure
Where's
if
that field?
it
It's
came
on
that
the
we needed
west
to use the
side of the
space,
field.
they would let us reclaim it. I mean, if we needed to put
Oh, yeah.
stuff there because of the
Right.
construction, but it's just for
Right.
the time being while it's not.
Well, they've been very cooperative with us. I think we need to
Yeah, well, should be
respond.
nice.
You bet. Yeah.
Okay, so
Have to raise
We don't
hands
do
or
that.
something? Or
No, I don't think
okay,
so.
just
Sounds
wanted to-
good.
Okay.
Anything else on your new business?
Carol's
Proposed.
gonna.
Oh,
Carol's
Carol, you
got
have
her
your
hand
hand
up.
up.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
yes,
you in the back.
we passed over that D, which was the schedule of the
No,
meetings.
we changed the work sessions are now, that physical resources meeting, we decided not to, right?
It's
Isn't
not
that
gonna
what we agreed
it
to?
won't be the
Right.
physical resources
The
focusing
physical
on the
resources-
But was it not
committee?
the schedule that we were looking for?
We kind
During
of
that time?
altered what
We
we
want
were
the
gonna
dates?
do.
I had a question on it. That was, so I thought this was a good time. Because we're talking about doing a work session on June 1st and the board meeting changed to the 15th, that makes a lot of sense. But the next board meeting happens to be on July 13th, and that's a whole month in between there.
Mhm.
So I was thinking that if you wanted to, we could slip a work session in there on June 29th. And then after that, it works out fairly well, and I can send this all out via email to everyone what the
So it would
what
be
the dates were.
3 meetings
But
in
with
June
the
then?
addition, of the June 29th.
I
Did you
see.
see this, Norma? I
Right.
know that you.
Yeah.
That might work.
No, that's.
It
Yeah,
would be
does
the
that,
one
any
that-
objections to that?
I
That
have none.
actually does sound like a good idea.
Mhm.
I'll,
No,
I'll
I'm
send
good.
that out then tomorrow, what
Okay.
the actual dates were, and then I'll publish that.
Thank you.
If we need to cancel, we can cancel, but we can't, in terms of
That's
right.
publicizing the
Right,
meetings.
that's the.
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
so we don't actually
Mm.
have to use it.
Okay. Proposed agenda items for next month's meeting.
Well, we still have, on the construction managers, isn't that part of the?
Oh, you guys, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Do that.
I know, there's a lot.
All right, that's, we don't wanna miss that.
No. Where's it?
You had it listed in your, you made reference to it in your
Yeah.
report.
Yes, you did.
But it's.
I don't see it written.
I thought you guys were gonna do it, I thought you were gonna do it under the committee, that's why, when I came back, I
okay.
thought maybe you had
Under
discussed it.
physical resources.
But,
Right, so, we just,
No,
about the
we-
construction managers, we never
yeah.
discussed it.
the
It's
decision on
results
who
of
we were
the-
gonna pick for construction management, that was up to the physical resources committee to make their
Okay.
recommendation. It was supposed to happen, I thought it was gonna happen back in the committee, it didn't, so we're gonna just add it under new business.
Under other, okay,
Right.
what happened with the Salesian fence repair? I'm sorry
That-
if I missed that.
We're
That's
just gonna
taken
have
care
them
of.
take down the 2 broken panels and put up
Something temporary.
something temporary.
Something
and
by the of the
expensive.
color orange.
Temporary.
And bright orange and obnoxious.
That one person is
They could cover it with Nerf.
There we go.
Is there
So the
is there,
deer will.
is there
We'll
anything
get
part
little
of the
tykes to build us a fence. Building.
what is it that you guys are recommending? The
Construction
construction
manager.
manager. Is there anything of that we need to do in executive session or and
No.
then come out with a
No.
decision? Okay, that's good. Okay.
Cool.
So other is the,
About the
Construction manager.
Construction manager.
So, you're the chairman, right?
This works.
That's how it works.
We so as Matt mentioned, Paul and Megan collected bids from 4 people. I think they might have put out for more than that, but,
yeah.
one fifth one came later, something along those lines. But and 2 of them were very similar, and the other 2 were much more expensive. So they submitted those 2 for our review. Actually, they just scheduled. They sent us the information to review, but they also scheduled a date for it to meet with them. And we talked to the first group from Albany, which is Gilbane, thank you. And they for first hour and a half, and then we talked to Calgie, which is from Westchester, for the second hour and a half. And there were differences between the 2. Both of them were qualified, and Megan and Paul made it clear that they were happy to work with either one. They had worked with both in the past. We can send out they sent us the PowerPoint presentations, so we can send those out for review as well. We should have done that already, but there were differences in the style between the 2 of them. The first group, Gilbane, they had 4 people, and the second group had 3. That's one difference. The first group seemed like they were, they were from the Albany office, and their company has got 4 or 5 offices in New York, and then
It's a big nationwide company.
Nationwide company, yeah. And the other was a smaller privately owned company in Westchester. And the one in Westchester has done a lot of work in Westchester, primarily with schools, libraries, and firehouses. They also were focused on. So
they're very small. I mean, it's like 5 people, I think, something like that. I mean, we saw a guy, basically the company's named after him, right? It's
yes.
And
Yeah,
then-
his father started it, and he's the owner now. And Dominic, I think, Calgie.
Yeah.
And he did the presentation, whereas the first team, they were basically trading off throughout their presentations. And they had the first one guy was kind of the owner. He was just the head guy at their office, and then they had Neil, who would be the construction manager. A very nice guy, and he was actually. Were you telling me, or somebody was saying that he was going to be? I guess Paul or Megan were saying that he was going to be the construction manager at Warwick. But it was for another company, and who actually is the company that's.
Was that you talking about Neil or
Neil,
was it
yeah.
Keith?
Neil started at the company that Washingtonville's actually using now, but he had left there many years ago, and he's working for Gilbane now. So.
Now, was he the one that had the letter from Wisner, from the director, from Rosemary?
Yes.
Yeah.
He had a letter of recommendation from Rosemary.
Right. So it's still held true, and then the other two people were both teams had that would-be construction manager, and then a cost estimator, the person who actually runs the numbers, and then the first team also had a fourth person who was in charge of new business development. So he had input on some of the slides as well. The second team only had 3, and they had the cost manager, the would-be construction manager, and the owner. One of the major differences, aside from the size of the company, and talk to that in a second, but was that they said that Neil, the construction manager, although he's based in Albany, and they would likely have somebody, or they would have somebody here, likely living close by for the term of the project.
There'd be somebody on site basically every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Plus, this guy Neil would be coming down for weekly reports. So basically, you're getting 2 people.
His own internal weekly reports, and then also he would be at all of our meetings, at the board meetings, giving their reports. So.
Is that not the case with the other company, that somebody would be here every day?
It was.
They would have one person. That guy would be it. They wouldn't have the second person.
Okay. And he.
They both would have somebody here every day.
Okay.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. Right. But so for the Albany company, it'd be 2 people doing that job, whereas for Calgie, it would only just be the one person. And I guess he must live, I didn't ask, but that he probably does live in Westchester. He'd just be commuting to Westchester, assumedly, versus the intention of the actual site manager, he called him, for Gilbane, would be living nearby, to be acclimated to the area, to be on people's minds, to tie a face to everything, and that seemed to be a nice touch as well.
Yeah, another reason we ended up going with the Gilbane, the group from Albany, was that their presentation was more informed. They had done more preparation. They had more things to talk about. They had done an analysis of the site. They're motivated and informed and smart and ready to go, and they were committed to this project. And if something were to happen to somebody in that group, they have other people that can step in. This other company, they're very nice people, but you had the feeling that if any one of them had a problem, then you didn't know what you're going to get, because the company is so small.
Mm.
And it was a little scary to think that might happen.
Mm.
And they also made reference to, they had 2, they might have had more, but they specifically mentioned 2 construction managers, and they weren't sure who would have come here up until like a week earlier, when the second construction manager she's working on a firehouse now, and so the way the timing is, when that project is done, she's going to go right away to another firehouse, because she's coming off of one. So the guy who was here meeting with us would be the construction manager.
Oh.
So that's part of the impression that, like, so there's just the 2 of you, okay? And what happens if, what's the contingency,
So you're recommending Gilbane?
Gilbane, yeah, for larger
And
company.
we negotiated. You went back to Gilbane, right? Because there was an issue about one of their prices.
Right. They reduced it.
They reduced a certain part of their.
To work with us. They're definitely excited about the project.
One of the things they did, what we're talking about, is both of them gave cost estimates for the whole project, and each of them gave, and I don't know if Paul Mays prompted them for this or not, but he might have actually, that they gave us prices for savings underrun, for a project underrun, and expenses for a project overrun.
Yeah, if the project's done on time or done before time, or if it goes 6 months later, what happens? this type of thing.
So they I guess they redid their scheduling. Gilbane redid their scheduling fee to bring it closer to one from Westchester. So that was what that is.
And this is the company that would come up with as close as possible cost.
Yes.
Right, that's part of their job.
So we would hire them fairly soon.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because they have to crunch the numbers.
Yeah, they said they said that they should be hired by June. They should be on board by June. So really, if we wanted to, we could send the information out and everybody could review it, and we could just decide at the next meeting.
Okay.
Why? Are you feeling good about them?
Yeah, I feel good about them,
presented-
but if they might want to see the paperwork.
My only question is, does our attorney need to review contract?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I don't think they've given us a contract yet because we haven't
Right, so
whatever
what would be-
made noises.
So
to
is that the kind of, like, we would agree to hire them and then they would give us
So-
a contract? Is
yeah.
that how it works?
And subject to review by our attorney, I guess.
Yeah, right, we could do it that way. If we wanna agree to it tonight and give them that stipulation.
Right.
I mean, because our attorney needs to review
Right.
every piece of
Absolutely.
work, every piece of paper that we
Okay,
sign.
so that's a good,
then-
and even, yeah,
Right.
so the action items would be, we'll send the information to you guys.
Right.
Matt can ask for their contract to submit to the
To the attorney, right.
And then at the next meeting, we
Barring any
can make
complaints
formal
from him.
decision.
Right, on
Okay.
June first, our work
Yeah,
session.
try and do the vote on June 1st.
Okay.
We can just vote on it then. Everybody okay with that idea?
I'm okay with
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, the way, and basically the way they said the process works is that, Paul has got, or Paul and Megan, mainly Megan has got the site, the drawings that we currently have, the
Right.
layout, the floor plans. And they spec it out as best they can, and they give it to the cost estimator, and the cost estimator says, okay, based on this, the meeting room with this many chairs is going to cost this much money, and I see these, you have these outlets and whatever, and et cetera, et cetera. And then meets up with Megan later on, and Megan goes, oh no, wait, okay, my thinking was this, so there's
Right,
there's a
so
back
they
and
work
forth
back
that
and forth.
happens, so that's how they get the cost estimate as closely as possible to what it should be.
Right.
And both companies said the cost estimation is very close to what it winds up being for the bond at the end. So that portion of it is pretty close to on the numbers, because they really do go over everything that's going to cost money, how many of each, et cetera, and what it costs to install. Whereas Paul and Megan just go, this type of room costs this much per square foot.
Yeah, yeah. These guys break it down by each outlet,
Right.
costs $5,
Right.
yeah.
And they're also more familiar with
Actual costs.
working rates that the workers get paid in the area and things like that. They
There's
do
one
more
other thing
research.
about getting the larger company that Paul mentioned, which was that if a subcontractor's not doing what he or she should be doing, the larger company's gonna be dealing with that contractor down the road, and the contractor may say to himself, I better play nice with these people, because maybe I won't be having a job in a future building, because it's not like I'm never gonna see them again.
Yeah.
I am gonna see them. I wanna see them again.
Right.
So that gives them a lot of clout with the contractors.
Okay.
So,
So you're gonna send out the proposal to people.
Yeah.
It's gonna be sent, well, how does this work? You tell them that we're gonna go with them, send us your contract.
right. and
Our
we'll
lawyer
get our
reviews
lawyer's
it.
approval.
He'll have reviewed it prior to the next
June 1st,
meeting.
right, and then we'll get back.
And
if
then
we're
we'll,
happy with it.
and then we-
officially
do we-
hire them, I guess?
So this would be it would be Ben Gale. He's the counsel for the building contract. He's the one that would review it.
It's funny, I guess the Alan Burgers we sent to our local, or the regular guy that we use. But I guess this is more probably up the alley of,
New construction.
Yeah.
So I'll send it, I'll run it by him.
Maybe you might want to ask Ben Gale. Is he the one that normally reads the contract that was already sent to Fink? Maybe he normally reads that one too, the publicity guy, because he's supposedly handling all legal work associated with the with the project.
Right,
It
right.
might
Yeah.
include the publicity, so
Okay, I'll,
he may be familiar with Alan
ask
Berger's.
him about this, okay.
He may be, something he's seen before from Alan Berger.
One thing about Alan Berger, I mean, to switch topics, but one thing on Alan Berger's contract is that he sets a cap of $20,000.
That's fine.
So that's something to be aware of, that we need to figure if we're getting close to that, or maybe, I don't know that we should reduce that amount in case we do need to spend 20,000 with him, but his rate was 160, 180 an hour. Maybe we can do the math and figure out how much time we get out of that or something like that. Yeah.
I thought he had guesstimated that it would be in the neighborhood of 10.
That's what I
right,
thought.
yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
did.
So he's basically saying if it turns out where you guys use me a lot more than
Right.
I expect to be used, then there's going to be more, but it should be in that 10 range.
I thought I said 20.
It was, yeah, the
I thought it
contract
was
said
20.
a cap
20.
of maximum of
Cap,
20.
okay.
What's the
Yeah.
max?
But he did say, but I guess he said Moffett turned out to be around that. He was giving us a
That's
number
what I
that's
thought.
more generally it turns out to be
Okay.
less than that. Anyway,
Moffett was 10
it's 10
and,
approximately.
alright.
Okay.
Now, when are we going to see Alan Berger? Because we need to get, well, there are people, for example, that want to see the drawings.
Well, I talked to Megan about that. Yeah, she said that won't probably, that's probably not wise to trot out until after summer, using their schedule. We were waiting on Robert Fink to take a look at our lawyer to look at Berger's contract, and he's had it for a couple of weeks. But I mailed him on Friday. He hadn't gotten back to me, so I'll check. I mean, maybe Berger has his own. I mean, it seems like Berger's worked with our architects before, so they're probably on the same page as far as how when things get done. And Megan and Paul said that they keep asking me to wait on that, wait a little longer, because you want to do that at one of the public presentations, the first one, I imagine. You unveil that, the image.
And that's the one that
renderings.
happens a week before.
Well, that's the thing. We have to figure out.
I mean, we were
Well,
at
it's gotta
the,
be
uh,
well,
No,
we
there's
we
two
were
of them. There's one
recently,
much earlier.
we
She
were
said-
recently at the State of the Village.
Yeah.
Is that the one?
Right.
And I was speaking to a couple of people, and they're like, "When are you going to show? Well, I want to see
Yeah.
it. It's
Yeah.
on the website."
Yeah.
So it's like already out there. There's
Mhm.
and it's
That's
and
what
it
I
was
keep hearing,
positive,
too.
and
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
positive.
I think we
you know,
need to get
Something.
and somebody
exterior
said,
at
"Whatever you
least."
need me to do, I will do."
Right.
So
Even
Well-
just a preliminary exterior shot, he's right.
We should-
That's, everybody asks. I said, well, what's it gonna look like? What's it?
Well,
Yeah.
they're right now they're sounds bad, but I was gonna say imaginary drawings basically. I mean, like
No, I
they've
get it.
got the floor plans and they're drawing a structure around it, but by the same token, it's all ethereal right now. And I think maybe if Paul and Megan actually start to flesh out the floor plans more, they'll be able to. The program they're using is what
Right.
draws everything. So the architectural program, they'll be able to put the information in, and actually it'll pop up really nicely, and they can do fly-throughs like Custer Mission was talking about doing fly-throughs. But
Right, but just because it's going to be difficult for us to do any sort of publicity or gathering forces if we don't have anything to show them.
Right.
Yeah.
So the longer it takes us to show them, the more aggravated they're going to get with
I
us.
don't want to lose
Right.
momentum.
Yeah, and we
Right.
don't want to lose the momentum. So I mean, I realize they want a polished thing to show everybody, but we have to have something.
Well, do you want to give me leave to go ahead and hire Alan Berger? As I say, he's paid by the hour, so we have someone reviewing his contract, but ultimately,
Yeah.
if you
that's
don't
fine.
like
We're okay
how he's
with it.
working, you just don't ask him to do any work.
Right.
Yeah, right. We just
So we may as well get him
exactly,
on
might
so
as
we
well.
can start to.
Call the
Right.
attorney and
Okay.
find out.
Yeah, let's
You
go
know,
on and
what's-
see if
what's
you
the
can
holdup?
send,
I will, but I don't even think you have to worry about that. I think you can just go ahead and
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we
just
should.
The
start
other
signing
thing
off.
is-
Yeah.
And then find out from him how soon we can start showing.
Right, okay.
Yeah. The other thing is, I know we had this. I think there's another timeline that they had done. This
The
one's
last one in
dated.
December I have was the most
Yeah.
recent.
Right. But in lieu of all the changes that we have,
Okay,
and
I'll
now
ask
that we're
Megan.
hiring people who are responsible for various, and Megan and Emily were not on the board, if we could have a
A
A fresh
refresh.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
Okay.
awesome.
I'll call it a moment.
well, so along those same lines, what are our next steps with Paul and Megan? Because I mean, on that we will be using them as architects, and we haven't signed that contract yet. What's the next step for them? Because that was where I was going was, now's the time that they're gonna start doing more detailed drawings.
Right.
And everything will happen more naturally once we have that in place, but.
Well, this is why we need more meetings.
More meetings.
Yeah,
Right.
because,
Yeah.
But I'll get this stuff done tomorrow, get the answers, and I'll let Berger know that we're hiring him, and I'll talk to I can't believe I remember all his names. Fink
Wow,
about getting
you're good.
and then I'll get I'll let Megan know, Gilbane, that we are in the preliminary stage of hiring. We want to see their contract. I'll pass it along to Ben Gailey, and I'll get his by June 1st. We'll be able to
Make the big
make that
decisions.
happen. Right.
Mhm.
Right. All right.
There's one more thing.
Oh, for God's sake.
It's Elysium. You had that sign up there.
Oh.
Picture of the old
Yeah,
library,
get that
future home of.
See,
We
that's
need
a-
to take that
That's a
down.
way. That's the way of advertising, that we could put something of what
No,
is the
no.
new building.
Now-
No,
Right, no,
the
but the
old
old
sign
sign
is
The old
still
sign's
up
up
there.
there.
That's what I mean. Get a new sign up with
Oh,
a new
yeah.
rendering,
Well, we have
something
to.
like that.
We
Well,
definitely have to
before
take
then-
down what's
Yeah.
up there.
Well-
Right,
so
before we
people don't
start
get the
talking-
wrong idea.
Absolutely, before we start talking about anything
and I don't
that
know
looks
if-
the same as the
But I
last
don't. I
time,
wouldn't
they
want
try
it
to
to.
write,
I would
this is
want it
nonsense.
to, like, if that sign goes down on a Monday, we
Yeah.
can put up another one right away,
Well,
and
Okay.
not,
I don't think
not
that's,
have any
I don't
lag
think we
time.
should get too hung up on that. I
Well-
think it's more important to get rid of that sign
Actually,
Yeah.
than it is why.
Wait a minute, wait.
because Ted Lewis,
Right.
when I was talking to him, one of his first comments were, "You guys should have a sign up so that for legal reasons people know to stay off that property." I was like, "Well, we have a sign up." He's like, "Oh, really?"
We're
Yeah.
not keeping people from
Yeah,
going
we're
on
not.
that property.
No, but in terms of liability.
But half of the field where you just gave permission for joint
Well,
rec to have.
But we gave permission though.
Right.
So it's in his
We did have a sign.
opinion.
Well, I think it's more
Well,
a question
having
to
a
the
sign-
lawyer
Having a sign
and
that
not
says
to
property,
Ted Lewis.
the library is one thing. Having a sign that says future home of this big ugly thing we're not actually getting
Yeah.
is completely different.
Okay,
But
let's take down this sign as it
Yeah.
is
So
now.
wait a minute, I seem to recall that we had difficulty, or they had difficulty, somebody had difficulty getting permission to put up a sign. That was something that had to be approved by the town. You can't just go around putting up
Okay.
signs. So
Yes.
we
yeah,
now have
that's true too.
permission to have
Okay.
a sign. Now, what's on the sign is up to us.
All right, then,
So
how
that-
about
so
we
that sign-
whitewash
Yeah, I
it
was
for
gonna say,
now?
what is it? What is it? Is it
We
aluminum?
don't-
I can't
We could
remember.
put it's
Did the
an
library
it's
own
a
that property at the
Yeah.
time?
line drawing of the
Yeah.
other building.
But I mean,
Well,
what's it
they
on?
were
You
taking
just
it
take
off.
the face off and
No,
then
I,
use it?
I have to look at it's
Yeah.
a piece of wood.
Can we just get like some paint
That's
all
what I'm saying,
over
we
the
can
Yeah,
top?
that's what I'm thinking.
I think it would be nice to put,
coming
future
soon.
home of the, and with a new
Mhm.
Put a
rendering
banner on
of
it,
the
coming
building.
soon.
That,
So-
I think that would
so-
be nice, and then
so-
we can say to people, oh, it's what the sign looks like.
So ask Megan about that aspect
Yeah,
of it, actually
because
just
we
quietly
have that
putting
sign.
that on the sign.
Next time we're there, I'll measure it too.
And we can see,
Something else.
if we do that,
Buy
we
some
can actually
balsa
see
wood
what
and
kind of
just
comments are
stick
coming up. Is that something we wanna do?
We want that down, because once we start talking about the library, if that's the image people are getting, we're gonna confuse people.
Right, but do we wanna put the image of the current renderings?
That's what I
No, I
like.
like that idea, but I don't wanna jump the gun, like, leaving that up until we have, you know what I mean?
Right,
Getting
right.
rid of that is actually really rather
Well,
important.
in the interim,
Not
can
if
it
it's still
simply
there.
say future home of Goshen Public Library?
Right, can we
Just the
do
words?
something about the
Anything about
image?
what's on it now.
Right, just
Yeah.
roll over the image.
But-
Without an image.
But it's a good point you made,
Yeah,
about
Tiva?
if somebody
No, but I.
got hurt there.
I have a very early date.
I thought we had a discussion last year about being covered by insurance.
We have
We
insurance,
have
right?
insurance,
Yeah.
So-
We're insured.
But it's
There's
still,
no need to,
Well-
do we tell people not to come on this property?
People walk on it all the time. When
No,
I'm
but
not
it's-
walking.
but this
on it.
property's
They
active.
think it's the park.
Yeah.
What's active? What do you
Well,
mean
I
active?
think- well, I
people
think
walk in our door all
part
the
of
time.
it-
There's no
part of
door over
Yeah,
there to
but-
walk in.
It's just grass.
The fact that we got permission to put up the sign, we don't wanna lose it by taking the sign down and then having to go through it again. We have to make
Why
sure
did
that's
the
not gonna
town
happen.
have to give permission
Because they're
if
like-
the library owns
Yeah.
it?
It's
You just
Because
can't
it's-
put signs
You
up.
can't just
Right.
put signs
In
up.
the village,
I-
yeah,
That's
the
the
village is
village
very
ordinance.
picky about.
This is
Oh,
hearsay.
put up an ice
We don't
cream
know what actually went on
It
to
was
get
a
that
long
up
time
there.
ago.
You have to-
Let's
have to
find the
write that
minutes
down.
of that.
I'll check.
Go for it,
So
please.
we have some agenda items to add, as discussed. You know about them. Carol, the TAN, the newspaper, those things that we
And
decided
that'll
on.
be at the next board meeting, not
Right.
the work session.
We're gonna vote on
That
the
should be the
construction
regular-
manager
The regular meeting, right.
and
That'll be on June 15th at the regular meeting.
Okay.
The other stuff.
Is there
We'll get it first.
any other proposed agenda items?
I thought construction manager was June first.
June first.
Right,
yeah.
June 1st, that's a work
Well,
session.
that's, oh,
So we're gonna
Yeah,
vote
but
on that.
you're proposing things for the next board meeting.
yes, I am.
Right, so
My
the,
God.
So Gilbing's June
That's the
1st, and the
15th.
other stuff we talked about is gonna be on the break.
on the,
Is there any need to go into executive session?
No.
Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 10:04? Ellen Mary, seconded by Norma.
Great.
All in favor?
Great news of the